Fine.
We do have time. We are live. And we have to say, tonight's show is like
Good
Mama got
one.
her hair straightened,
Got my
all
hair
nice,
straight. I got my
nice.
nails done.
The nails are all done, nice, nice. Our guest, Pat, she had to drive 4 towns away just to be with us because she has no power because of the storm. She had to drive through down power lines, all that kind of stuff. Ugh. And good evening, everybody. We are live. Our guest is in the room with us. We will show you a brief video explaining who she is and what she does, and we will be with her as soon as this is done. Good evening, everybody. I am Gina B, and the place to be is here with me and Mama D every Thursday evening from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here in the Fox Den. Do you or does someone that you know suffer from unexplained anxiety, panic attacks, or sadness? Are you often overwhelmed with compassion for others' pain? Do people sometimes refer to you as being sensitive or too sensitive? If so, you may be an empath, and a few simple tools could change your life. In an increasingly anxious world, getting in touch with our deepest healing abilities and achieving our inner peace is more important than ever. With this invaluable book, The Gifts Beneath Your Anxiety, as your toolkit, you begin your journey towards finding that peace, becoming aware of and caring for your spiritual self and gifts, and healing your life. Pat Longo is a gifted spiritual healer and teacher. In working with thousands of clients around the world, Pat has helped facilitate the healing of countless men, women, and children. In conjunction with her energy healing process, Pat also guides her clients and students in spiritual development, giving them the tools to recognize, develop, and care for their innate spiritual gifts. Among her students are well-known mediums such as Teresa Caputo, the Long Island medium. Visit Pat's website at patlongo.net. patlongo.net. Welcome to the Fox Den, Pat.
Hello, girls. Well, happy to be here.
Oh, and it is a miracle that you're here and that we're all here. And I do hope that a lot of people aren't, too bad off from the storm. And if you can't join us live because you don't have power or internet, don't worry, there are archives. You can watch us anytime on our YouTube channel, and we would appreciate if you would go and subscribe to our YouTube channel at the Fox Den
And don't
hosted by
forget don't forget to hit that little bell so that you get notifications when we go live, because sometimes it's not always on Facebook, and sometimes they're little specials. You never know when we'll be alive.
That is true. That is true. You never know. We could have something very special. We could do a follow-up with Pat Longo, and you'd miss it if you weren't notified. So, but welcome, Pat. Honestly, it's just it's a miracle that you are here with us tonight, and we appreciate it. And let me just show the people your book right here. Okay, this is The Gifts Beneath Your Anxiety. Simple spiritual tools to find peace, awaken the power within, and heal your life. Now,
it's a mouthful.
It is.
But it's a good book. I haven't read it all, but it's a good book. So
I know I said it. Sorry.
My original title was "You're Not Sick, You're Psychic," and the publishing company didn't feel that they felt that if I put psychic on it, people would walk away, and I didn't want people to walk away. I wanted anybody. Anxiety was the key, and I wanted them to be pulled into it. So I had to play a little with the subtitle and make sure I covered all my bases. So
that's awesome. That's awesome.
It worked.
So, yeah. All right. Well, now let's go back into your past. Like, when did you first realize that you had a gift, or that you even got into this community to begin with?
Well, I'm going to say at 25, I became very interested in psychics. I had seen my first psychic, and it was private. My sister and I went. And then I found myself just going yearly to psychic fairs. And when it would come into town, I'd pick 2 reads. I'd go in, have a little reading. I never really hit on anybody that got my stuff. But what they did always say to me, the one thing that was consistent is, are you a nurse? Are you a healer? I see the medical sign around you. And I really thought they were all crazy. I really did. And I thought to myself, I have 5 kids, no money. I am not going to be a nurse. I'm not going to be a doctor. I'm not going to medical school. No chiropractor. I couldn't even imagine what they were talking about. But year after year, I would go. And I remember finding 2 people that were really good. And I did not realize that I would be doing this, obviously, that I would be training people to read and to heal. So I think I was being set up so that I could see what I didn't want, how to run it properly, okay, how to test people and really make sure that they had the goods. It was training. It was just training I didn't know. And so I was pushing 40, and it was 1994, and my mom got diagnosed with inoperable breast and bone cancer. And she had it. She admitted to us at the very least 5 years. And they couldn't operate. It had metastasized to the ribs, the skull, the pelvis. It was breast cancer, and the breast was literally inside out. And I went to a psychic, and the psychic sent me to a healer. And he handed me a card. I said, well, she's got nothing to lose. I didn't know what a healer was. But I made the appointment. I took my mom, and my mom went into remission. And she went into remission for 15 years. And she didn't come out of remission, actually. It's not how she passed. But she just automatically, it was a miracle. My mother should have been gone within the year. And that sent me on a journey. And it was a pivotal moment. And I found myself in a metaphysical class. And the class consisted of 10 weeks. 1 week was angel cards. Another was UFOs. Another was tarot cards. Another was dowsing rods. It was always different, but we meditated. And that was the key for me. The 3rd week, my hands started to burn. Now, I did not know it had anything to do with class. I went home. My hands were like hot pokers, and I couldn't cool them down. I kept putting them underwater and trying to hold cold towels. And I said to my husband, is this menopause? Why is it all in my hands? Seriously, I said, I thought hot flashes was your body, not your hands.
Oh my God.
And he thought I was nuts, but he didn't know anything about menopause either.
Right.
So the following week, when I went into class, I was aware of a woman in my peripheral vision who was sitting on a folding chair. I was on a comfy marshmallowy couch, and she was over here. And I could see her shifting, turning, twisting, crossing, uncrossing. And it was a rainy Monday morning. The teacher said to me, Pat, could you move over and let so-and-so sit next to you? I said, sure. I squeezed in, she squeezed in. And then she said, Pat, would you put your hand on her leg? And I kind of looked at her and like, really? Why would I want to do that? And then she said, no, just put your hand on her leg. Okay. I put my hand on her thigh. Now, I didn't do anything because I didn't know I was supposed to. I didn't know what I was supposed to do, but I just put my hand there. It was probably there for about 2 minutes, and all of her pain went away. She had been in a serious car accident a few years before, so all her soft tissue, I guess it ached on the rainy day, and everything was gone. Wow. So when I left there, I would say my head was spinning. It really was. I didn't know why me. I went through all those questions. Why me? What happened? What is this? And it started from there. I went to the library, and then I went to the bookstore. I couldn't find anything in the library. There was no, new age stuff at that point. I found myself in the psychological department, and I found a book or two, but it didn't do anything for me. And in the library, I found a book, and I gave it away a long time ago. It disappeared. And I feel like it said Hands-on Healing. It was just a thin little paperback book. And I read it, and it just made sense. So I started to practice. And I practiced on my siblings, unbeknownst to them. One of them, they were in a hot tub one day. And I stood behind one because they said they had their neck hurt and they slept wrong. And so I put my hands on her neck, and I did whatever I do. I mean, she thought I was giving her a little massage. And then hers went away and I got it.
Right.
Then I did my other sister, and she had a migraine. So I got the ham. So, oh, let me see what I can do. Maybe I can help you. And I'm just rubbing her scalp a little bit, her forehead and her temples. And next thing you know, she felt great. And I had a migraine. I said, okay, we got to fix this. And when I went home, I had a little chat with God. And I said, okay, I absolutely surrender. I want to do what it is that you do. I mean, that you want me to do. I'm open, I'm ready, I'm willing, but I can't walk around with people's pain. And I all of a sudden began to think about the protection. How could I protect myself? And I began to build off the protection that my teacher taught us. And I built it into a meditation and I expanded a little bit and it worked. I never had a problem again. Now, I can feel people's pain when I'm in the room with them, especially if I have a large group and I'm holding hands with them and we're meditating. And all of a sudden, I get pain in my hip really bad. And when I can't do anything because I'm leading the meditation. So once we drop hands, I just said, whose is it? Whose pain is it? And 3 people raised their hands. And so I now knew that, again, I could still pick it up if we were connected, strongly connected. But I don't anymore. I mean, if somebody doesn't, if somebody's in front of me and I'm doing a healing and all of a sudden I get a pain in my right pinky, really bad, and I know it's not me. So I ask them, did you ever have an injury with your pinky? And then they'll tell me when I was 5 years old. But for whatever reason, I picked it up. But it's again, I don't have to suffer any pain anymore, and I'm very happy about that. But this led me on my healing journey, and I'll throw it together briefly. I started to heal people and not really know what to say to them, other than they'd come in, they'd tell me where they hurt or what was wrong with them. I would do a healing, and then I would send them home. There was no internet then. No cell phones. I didn't ask anybody to call me back and tell me what was wrong or tell me how they felt. I asked for nothing. And slowly but surely, people would send people to me, and then they'd say how they found out and who told them, and the business began to build. Then I realized that people aren't going to heal unless I can heal their emotional problems. Because in my experience now, I have realized that all physical illness comes from emotional trauma and upset. So now I would sit down, and now I'm counseling, I'm teaching, I'm helping them to forgive, I'm bringing them into balance again. And then I would do the healing. And then the healing stuck. And more and more and more, I would get crazy diseases. I always got them 3 in a row. So if I got an MS, I got different degrees. I would have an 18-year-old. I would have someone who just began, and then somebody who was in the middle of it, and somebody who was at end stage. And if I got leukemias, I'd have a 41-year-old man. I would have rare ones, and they would be one right after the other. And I started to notice a pattern, and I was supposed to pay attention to the pattern as to why it was happening that way. Again, it was all different degrees, different stages, and it was learning experiences for me. I had to deal with death and dying right away. And I could have honestly run from healing. I could have, because I wasn't prepared. I was like, my first actual client was a 31-year-old man who couldn't get the stem cell transplant because he got pneumonia. And he was going to die, and he did, and within 2 weeks of my meeting him. But it made all the difference in the world because I sat with him. He felt comfortable. I meditated him. I got him out of pain. He heard my voice when he was passing, even though I wasn't there. He told me he wasn't afraid as long as I was touching him. And he saw 3 huge archangels at the foot of his bed. And he said that to the person next to them. And they said, what do you mean 3 angels? He goes, obviously there. I mean, I see them. And he heard me. I was talking about him, but I was 40 miles away talking to my teacher about him on the telephone. Yep. So I realized that part of my job as a healer is to help people pass, to transition without pain. And I'm super blessed because I have gone to many hospitals and I've worked with many very sick people, and I could get them right out of their pain. So to pass that way, to transition that way without that tortured pain, it's a heck of a lot better than the alternative.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I
And especially
learned,
if you witness someone going through that pain, it's horrible.
but I learned it quickly. And I knew, all right, this is your job. This is what you have to do. So now I'll approach people. If I have to go into a hospital setting, I'll say to them, listen, I don't know if I'm here to help you live or to help you pass. But either way, we're going to make it a good job. I'm going to make you comfortable. And I'm blessed.
That's the truth. That's what it is. I mean, we're all gonna die.
Mhm,
and
that's right.
and hopefully we can die without pain, and we can ease into the next.
Exactly. It's really then to have somebody that's in torturous pain. And I remember going into a hospital and nobody was happy to see me because the family didn't believe in what I was doing, but a relative invited me. And I had to gown up because he was, I don't know why, whether he was infectious, I didn't think so, but we all had gowns, we all had masks. And I remember the brother came up to me and he said, whatever you do, don't touch my brother. Don't even lean into the bed, he said to me. He's this big guy. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm 4'10" and a half. I got to put my hands over his head. There's no way I'm not leaning into that bed. But I said, fine, don't worry about it. I came in the room, and again, I'm a half pint. So you got bars up, and I've got to lean over. There's no way I can't. And he appeared to be in a coma. And my hands began to touch, and I did what I did, and my hands went right on his, I want to say his liver. He had leukemia, but my hands were on his liver or something. No, I was on his left side, so it wasn't his liver, but my hands were there. And I'm explaining to the family that his body was orange. I thought it was the lighting. It wasn't the lighting. He was in liver failure. That's what it was. He was beyond yellow. He was orange. And as I'm talking to them and I'm trying to explain, when the physical shell can no longer house the soul, this is what happens. There's nothing we can do. I can help him with his pain. And his wife came up at one point because he stirred. And as I took my hand off of him to let her get closer, he grabbed my wrist. I mean, it came from out of nowhere because she thought he was in a coma. And he grabbed my wrist and he pushed it back onto his body because it was making him feel better.
Wow.
And she asked what pain he was in. You've got the chills. I know I did too. And he went from like a 13 to a 3.
Wow.
And he passed the next morning, and I knew he would. I knew there was nothing. The physical shell was already deteriorated. And but he passed in peace. And the family was grateful. And listen, I don't need the gratitude. I just want to help the person.
Right.
That's
your mission. That's that's what you're here for. So we all, I didn't know what the hell I was here for. I did so many different things and still do so many different things, and I get the same thing. My hands heat up. I did that. I told you about this when we were talking before. Like I went over, if I scan over someone's body, wherever the bad part is, my hands bounce off. And that's where I know that's where the issue is, and then I got to start working.
But that's what makes it so interesting, okay? Because every human being is unique. There is not one of us that can feel the same, heal the same, intuit the same. We can't. So for you put your hands like that and your hands bounce up. When I touch a body, their body is hot. It could be cool anywhere, but when I hit the spot where I have to go, it's burning hot. And I know I have to stay there.
And then my hands get hot when I hit it. Like it pushes up and then it gets hot and then I can feel it, like that energy ball, when you can make the energy ball. That's what I feel off the body. And it's like I feel like I grab it, pull it out, and get rid of it,
Exactly.
But
Again,
the
some
first time
people,
doing
go ahead.
it, that went into the girl had a problem with her belly so bad, and I went to the belly and I was concentrating so hard. It was like, like the first time ever doing it. And I'm like, I'm sweating. I'm like, I'm gonna do this, and then all of a sudden, everybody in the whole class heard this sound.
Pop.
Just like that. It went from her stomach and she sat up like, oh my God, I feel better, to mine. Bam. And oh my God, I doubled over in pain. I said, oh God, no, this is not happening.
Well,
I'm not going to do this. Then I had to work on getting it out of me,
that's where your protection comes in. And I told
Yep.
her that
Right.
you cannot be in this field without
Right.
proper protection. And I don't just mean the healing field. I'm talking about the psychic field. Everybody should, empaths need protection because
Totally.
they're pulling in the toxins of other people. They're not just pulling in the feelings, the emotions, or the pain. They're taking the toxins in. And what are those toxins doing? They're creating illness for you. They
Right.
create digestive issues. They create autoimmune disease. And again, I have backup because people just keep coming in and telling me the same thing. I ask them this question, this one, this one. I go through this list. Yes, yes. Oh, yes, that's me. Oh, yes, that's me. Oh, yes, that's me. And I said, well, if you do this, you'll be fine. And they do.
Right.
But it's also tied into their psychic abilities. And again, listen, I'm going to say it one more time. We're all intuitive. Everyone is.
Yeah.
Just to different degrees. You're pointing at each other. What's that?
Yeah. No,
It's pointing at me. And I'm like, no.
Mama is a Reiki master, and like when you're working on someone, what do you feel? How does it work for you?
Me personally?
Well,
We're talking to Mama.
To Mama.
When I get to the person, when I get to where their healing is needed, because I ask them not to tell me where it is unless they really want to.
Right.
And because I just do the whole body scan, is when I get to that, like we'll say the stomach, and I know, and I feel like a sponge, like it's just soaking, it's just sucking the energy as much as it can. I know that's where it needs the healing. For me, that's how it is. Just like it's like, so that's how I noticed.
Now this is what Pat's saying. Everybody is different, So for me, I'm bouncing off. You got a sponge and you get hot, right? So everyone is different, and that's what's like wonderful and hard to teach about the field.
Yes.
It's like that's you can write all the books that you want. In your book, you list so many different things, and it's for a reason because you say no one's different. I mean, everyone's is different, and that no one's the same. And you got to find what works for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I will tell my students, everyone has the ability to heal. It starts with the compassion to heal someone and the intention to do so. If you put those two things together and you ask to be the channel, okay, of that positive light or universal life force or white light and God's love, whatever it is, if you ask to do that and then you just step out of the way and let it happen, it will happen. The difference in degrees, this is the way I believe it and explain it, has to do with your past lifetimes. How many times you've lived and how many times you've used these tools and enhanced them lifetime after lifetime. So let's say somebody lives 500 years and they've come back that many times and they keep enhancing their abilities. They're learning humility, they're learning forgiveness, they're learning love and honor of self from lifetime to lifetime. And we have to go through a lot of stuff to get there. And then our abilities are enhanced. So now we say somebody lives 50 lifetimes and somebody else lives 5. Okay, so I believe it really does have to do with what you've accumulated. I've received automatic writings that do talk about it, and they say that these are your gifts that have been enhanced lifetime after lifetime. And these are your tools now. So this is where I think it comes from. So what is that? That's the difference between an intern and a brain surgeon or a kindergarten teacher and a PhD. That's all. It's just education.
Right.
But it's not education we can prove.
Right. But then you have all the clairs, and I did make a thing here, if I can get it up here. All right, this right here. So, and I just said the clairs, all right? So clairvoyance, right? That's clear seeing. Clairaudience, that's hearing. clairsentience, sensing, clairgustance, taste, clair, clair,
I never used that one. Yeah.
or clarifaction, smell. Well, that comes into play when we do paranormal investigating. Claircognizance, knowing. So for me, I would say I am clairsentient and I'm claircognizant because I just know things, know how to do things, know how to build things, and I sense things when I'm paranormal investigating, but sometimes we get the smells too,
Yes.
so
But
I don't know if that's a
you're
gift or
also
if that's just,
Gina, you're also clairaudient, and you don't
yeah,
list that. And you didn't list that when we talk, but we all hear.
yeah.
People
Yes,
just don't know
she
how.
does.
Well, no,
She does.
I do, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
She
Point your
does.
finger in the right direction.
I know, you have
I
to point opposite. You have to point opposite. It's the opposite
because
we're all.
technically on my computer screen, she's over there, but I
I
got
know.
Yeah,
I know.
you're over
okay,
there, but
it's
you're over here.
easy. You're right there.
No, you don't know where to look. I'm trying to look straight because I have one of you in each picture so I can, kind of
That's
eye
right. You
you.
have a glare on your glasses, so we can't tell where you're looking.
Okay, good. That's fine. Nobody knows. As long
So
as
why
I
I
don't
should
go
wear
like
my
this. Yeah. But what'd you say?
I said that's why I should wear my glasses so nobody can tell
Oh,
where I'm
okay.
looking.
Why? So people can't see. Well, I can't see you without these, so therefore I have to put them on.
Yeah.
All right. So with the clairs, as far as everybody hearing, because it's so subtle, the way that people hear, everybody expects bells and booms and loud male voices and high pitch. It doesn't work like that. It's just subtle. You're doing it all your life. You just don't know you're doing it. Once you start to catch on and begin to pay attention to the repetitive voices or the repetitive sentences, the
Right.
sentences that keep coming and coming, and they have a sense of urgency that comes with them, almost like a little push, that's when you know it's important. Okay. It just is. A thought will run through your head. And I'm going to give an example for me. let's see. Oh my goodness. I don't know how many years ago. My daughter's going to be 49. So she was 21. So it was a long time ago. And we're Catholic. Friday night's pizza night back in the day. So here I was waiting to pick up the pizza. And yeah, I'm hungry. Waiting to pick up the pizza. And it wasn't ready. And I started to get a thought in my head about my one daughter. And it just kept running in my head like, something's not right. Something's not right. And there were no cell phones. I went to the payphone and I called my husband. And I asked if she was home. And he said, "Nice. Have you heard from her?" No. And with that, the operator broke into the line. And my daughter had been in a car accident. They were wheeling her to get x-rays. And she begged them to stop and grab the phone and let us know. But that's the operator had to cut in and let us know. But it was a feeling that was so strong in me. I had no reason to feel it. It just came. So here we are, the thought and the feeling at the same time. So when they run together, people have to recognize their puzzle pieces coming together. And that's how it works. That's how I teach it. I try to help you to understand it's a lot easier than you think. But it is about your
Paying
past
attention,
lives, paying attention, watching the signs,
trust your
really
instincts.
trusting. Well, that's the biggest word, Gina. Trust. Trust and acceptance.
Right.
Without it, and I get that all the time from everybody. They all say the same thing to me. Are you sure I'm a medium? Take a look at this writing. Is this automatic writing, or am I making this up? Still pizza night here.
Awesome.
And
this one too. One from Joan. Joan says, "I always protect myself before I do a massage," which is wonderful. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I protected myself. This was a new thing for me, so I protect myself when I go doing investigations, and when I'm active in the community, we're doing events, we're doing ghost hunts. I do it twice a day. I do it in the morning. I do it at night. And lately I've been doing it just at night because everything's closed down, not doing really anything. So I've been doing it just at night. And I think I'm like a little less, like I can feel it. I can feel the difference of not being as protected.
Yeah. Oh, you
can. There's one thing in your book that you wrote that I absolutely, there's a whole bunch of things in your book that you wrote that I absolutely love, but and some things I never even thought of. Hang up that do not disturb sign, the spiritual do not disturb sign when you go to bed. That is amazing, and that's just such a perfect way to put it, an easy way to put it, because I'm always trying to tell people, if they say, oh, I'm getting paralyzed at night, I'm getting held down and blah, blah, blah. These are the explanations for all that. And, I try to explain what that is, and how that happens. But I always say, in your mind, just tell them to leave you alone and let you sleep.
Command your space. Command your space. And your space is where you eat, sleep, breathe, walk, and talk. So your space, people who are frightened as children and are psychic very young and go through this, and they have anxiety and fear and all these terrible things that have happened to them. Again, little children, shadows, scary faces, sounds, somebody in the room. They don't realize that they have control. Everybody thinks spirit has control, but it's just the opposite. Command your space, demand your space. No one is allowed in my space unless you're from God's light or I invite you. Okay, it's really very simple, a lot simpler. And the minute people do it, it's over. The do not disturb sign, I hang more for my guides to let me sleep well and not take me traveling or downloading so much information that I feel like I didn't sleep all night, or maybe even interruptions waking me up here and there. And so they adhere to that. It's amazing. If you work with spirit, they work with you. Mm-hmm. But if you allow the uglies
mutual respect.
Yeah. If you allow the uglies in, again, you're feeding them a 3-course meal when you fear them. Okay. Right. Fear is your worst enemy. And when I have little ones come in, I used to use the WWE belt, imaginary WWE belt. That's what I used for years and years and years. And it worked beautifully for anxiety. Stopped it right away. And then I upgraded to a metal vest of armor. And, when the little ones come in, I had a lot of superheroes from my grandkids. So I would use the utility belts, but I would tell them, put it up high. I would touch them where it had to go. And the last 2 little ones that came in, there was a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old. They were different families back to back. And I said, who's your favorite superhero? And they said, Spider-Man. I said, okay, well, when somebody bothers Spider-Man, somebody comes in their room, what do you do? What would he do? And, they put out their wrists and they show me the nets, the spider webs that come out of the wrists and spidey senses and all this stuff. And I said, well, tell me, what would you do if you were Spider-Man? Well, I would put a net all around that guy. And I said, and then what? Throw him out the window. You got it. I said, that's all you have to do. You're in control. All my job is with the little ones is to educate the parents, because I can't really educate the kids. Educate the parents. Make sure they know not to give them medication, that they're not crazy.
Oh, God.
This is, medication is unfortunately worse. And I'm not against medication. In this case, anxiety is not medical, it's metaphysical. Right? It really is about spirit being too close, energy being too close to you, to your body, to your energy center. And that's why people don't like to walk in crowds. It's why, people have a hard time standing up in front of groups, speaking, even at an office where they have to, or teachers. I get them all the time. And they're basket cases. All they need to do is put on their protection. And it's done.
Right. And then again,
do you think
gifts beneath your anxiety?
Do you think that OCD comes in there as well?
Yes. I see a lot of OCD, ADD, ADHD, Tourette's. All of it seems to be sensitivities, hypersensitive, autistic children, Asperger children, high functioning or otherwise. What it is, especially for the autistic children and the high functioning Asperger's or low functioning, it doesn't matter. It's like nails on a chalkboard for them. Certain sounds and feelings. They can feel everybody's everything because they are so sensitive. So now think about this. I only learned well after I had started this whole WWE belt thing that there are hugging vests that they use for children with autism. Now, the person who invented them, I don't know for sure, but I'm going to say didn't have any idea that it had to do with the solar plexus covering it. I believe because a lot of children don't like to be hugged or touched, they put these vests on them. And I could be wrong, but that's what I believe. And at the same time I found out about that, I found out that somebody had invented thunder belts or vests for animals, for dogs,
Right.
for animals
Right.
and
Yep.
cats. And they would put them around in storms
Yep.
and say 4th of July with a lot of noise, and
Yep.
they work.
They
So
sure do.
everybody's covering the solar plexus. When you cross your arms, you're covering your solar plexus,
Yep.
but you can't walk around the streets like that. You women will put maybe a purse, a pocketbook in front of them when they're walking through the mall or the food store. Listen, I'm short, so the cart comes right up to my solar plexus. Once I put my bag in front, I'm done. I'm covered. But people put pillows on their laps when they're sitting around with friends and family in a comfortable setting, or they pull their knees up and wrap their arms around their knees. Something is always covering because your guides are trying to give you the hint: cover, cover, cover. It's not blocking, it's covering. Okay,
Yeah.
it never blocks your intuition, but it covers it and protects it. And so there are, listen, this is experience of client after client after client. And, we're going 30 years now. So
Right.
it works. I have a good story for you. I don't know if my daughter-in-law or my son will appreciate it, but I'm going to tell it anyway. My granddaughter, at 8.5, I discovered she had anxiety. And I was at a bridal shower in a family home. And it was for a niece, and we didn't know her college friends or her high school friends, but my little granddaughters were invited. So a 4 and an 8-year-old came in together with my daughter-in-law, and I was in the foyer getting something out of my purse, and I looked at my granddaughter and I said, oh my God, how did I not know that she had anxiety? Because fear was plastered all over her face. She looked rigid. So I took her by the hand and I walked back to the front door and I said, do you get uncomfortable? Or I didn't use the word anxious. I said, do you get uncomfortable and nervous when you're around people you don't know? And her eyes got really big and she nodded her head like this. And I said, okay, close your eyes. And I took my 2 fingers and I poked her in the solar plexus. And I said, you know the wrestlers that your brothers watch on television? And she said, yep. And I said, you know, when they win, they hold up this big belt with a big gold buckle, and it's kind of like macho guys. And she said, yep. And I said, well, I want you to imagine that. Pretend right now that is right here underneath my fingers and wrapped around you tight. That was it. It was over. She had the best time. She was running. I didn't tell her a thing. I said nothing, just what I just told you. She was running around, and I grabbed her at one point. And I said, how you doing? And she said, I'm having a great time, Grandma. And off she went. So now I knew what was coming, because this is what I do for a living. Now, these kids don't know what I do. We don't talk about it. I don't even talk about it with my children. It was years before anybody knew I had a website. I said to my daughter one day at lunch, I said, I have a website. They looked at me like, because I don't talk about this stuff. I don't want to push it down anybody's throat. Exactly. When you're ready, you're ready. So with my granddaughter, I got a phone call around 9.5 years old. So now we're a year later. I did check in with her the next night. I said, how you doing? She said, good. And I said, are you putting on your belt? And she says, yep, right before I walk into school. So I knew she was fine, because she's also an A student and she pays attention. So, okay, we're good. So a year later, I get a phone call from my daughter-in-law. And she said to me, and they call me Grandma La, because the kids always called me La La or Grandma La. They couldn't get the Longo in or whatever. So, or just Grandma. So La La. Now, she said, Grandma La, you need to talk to my daughter, because she's supposed to go to a birthday party tonight, and she agreed to it. It's a sleepover, and now she's refusing to go. She's telling me the mother drinks and smokes and curses. She says, I know this woman. This is not true. But she's making up anything she can so she doesn't have to go. Like, give me the phone. I said, all right, what's the matter? She goes, I don't know. Every time I get close to the house, my stomach starts to hurt. Now, of course, I knew this is where she's starting to feel the digestive issues and the discomfort in the solar plexus and abdominal area. So now I take it to the next level. I have her surround herself in light. I have her ground herself into the earth, and now we're going to protect and put the belt on. She did go to the party. She lasted till about 9:20. She came home. So when my daughter-in-law called me the next day and she told me what happened, I said, something doesn't fit. Is there anything that I don't know? Is there something going on? Has there been a recent passing? And it turns out that the little girl had lost her dad. And the little girl had lost her dad. And so now I know that she is feeling this child's father. And so I said, all right, so we're going to have to talk a little more. Now, at 10 years old, just a few months later, she was at my home. We were having a birthday party for her cousin. There were 24 people there. It was very noisy. And all of a sudden, I just sat down in the living room to talk to my mother-in-law. She ran and she grabbed me by the hand and she pulled me. Now, she's 10. I'm like, all right. I thought we were going into my classroom. All the kids were bouncing around in there. I figured I was going to have broken angels or I was going to have fruit punch on the carpet. That's where I thought we were going. But she dragged me into the bathroom. I said, what's the matter? She said, I just saw Papa, which is my husband, who had passed a few years before. She said, I just saw Papa. And I said, you did? How lucky for you. I'm so glad it happened at my house because I was there to answer it the right way. Right. And explain to her that she had nothing to fear. And I said, children like you, I said, people who have passed away, they can see the light that comes out of the top of your head. And they know who can see, hear them, or feel them. So all he wants to do is give you a message and maybe let you pass it along. So, okay.
Exactly.
So she walks me out. And before we walked out, I said, is it okay if I say something to the others? And it was Super Bowl week, and football was on, and the guys and some of the women were sitting down. We walk into the next room, and I said, could you mute the TV, please? And my son-in-law muted the TV, and I said, I just want to let you all know that Papa's at the party. Riley just saw him in the bathroom. Everybody got quiet. And my daughter-in-law said to me, I don't think I signed a permission slip for that. So we all laughed, and that kind of broke the tension. And my granddaughter followed me into the kitchen. So I'm decorating a cake. She's behind me. And she said, can I ask for anybody I want? I said, I don't see why not. She had lost her other grandmother as well. Mm-hmm. So she waited a little bit, and then she said, well, how do I talk to them? I said, in your thoughts. She said, well, what do I say? I said, you could say anything, just like you're talking to me. How are you? Who are you with? What do you do there? Do you have a message for anybody? That's how you do it. She said, okay. She thought a little bit. Another 10 minutes goes by, and she said, I think I want to do it again. I said, you do? That's the first time she got my attention because I turned around. And she said, yeah, I think I want to try it now. I said, okay. So she goes, so we head towards the bathroom, which is where it happened. That's not where I was taking her. I was taking her to the stairwell. And she goes, I don't want to go in the bathroom. I don't think I finished peeing. So we laughed. And it, again, out of the mouths of babes, she was like shocked. She said, I screamed, but nobody heard me, she said. So now she's going to go upstairs. I have 5 bedrooms up there. And she's going to go up there by herself. And she had no problem with that. I said, go in Papa's man cave. Ask for whoever you want and just see what happens. So I'm down. I'm back in the kitchen. I didn't go with her. 20 minutes later, she came down and she grabbed me back by the hand and she pulled me out of the kitchen back to the stairwell. And I said, how did it go? She said, it worked. I said, it did. I said, who did you ask for? She said, Papa. But this time she said he stayed in the doorway and he didn't come in. He just stuck his head in. And I said, well, did you talk to him? She goes, yes, I did. I talked to him in my head. She said, but I couldn't hear what. I saw his mouth move, but all I heard was fuzzy sounds in my ears. And I said, well, you're not quite tuned in yet. I said, that's all. I said, and I don't want her to be. She's 14 now, and she'll be 15 pretty soon, a couple of months. I was kind of waiting until she was 16 because I usually tell kids that come to me, to the parents, I say, bring them back when they're around there, but just keep them, know the education, keep them out of fear, and then come back and we'll have something to talk about. But what happened was now the story gets funnier because she sees all kinds of people. She doesn't bother her at all. She's as tough as nails. She's a tomboy. She had her education. She's good. Now she sees her other grandmother watering the flowers in the backyard. She sees her dog who was hit by a car, and she says, her other grandmother's kind of yelling at the dog because he's eating the flowers that she's trying to water. She saw her best friend's father. She saw, this is the part I want to tell you. She had a stranger. I call them hitchhikers. She picked up a hitchhiker. The hitchhiker's in her bedroom now. They moved. The hitchhiker's in her bedroom. Now, I knew the history of the house. It shouldn't have connected to the house. It did not connect to the family. I said, tell me, what does he look like? Because she sees in 3D. So she sees him completely. She tells me what he's wearing, what his hair, his glasses, what she felt his age was. And she said, well, you know what, Grandma, it's not a big deal. He blocks my bathroom. And so I decided I'm just not going to get up and go to the bathroom at night. I said, well, that you can tell him to leave. He's not allowed in your space. But she didn't want to talk to him. So she didn't get up. And a month went by. And she didn't want to talk to him. The month goes by. And I come by the house. I said, so how's it going? She goes, well, I only see him when my girlfriends sleep over and we're up late. And then I see him. I said, you can tell him to leave. She did nothing. Another month goes by. I come by. And this time I don't say anything. I just look at her. And she goes, I know, Grandma, he's gone. And I said, well, how did he go? And she goes, I told him. I said, I don't have to say anything. All right, so last piece of the puzzle. Now we can move on. And again, this is bizarre. But she said to me, Grandma, you're going to think I'm crazy. I said, well, you look who you're talking to. Believe me, I don't think you're crazy. And she said, Papa was on my pencil in school. I said, he was. And then that was a new one on me. I said, okay. And she said, yeah, he kept bouncing back and forth from the point to the back, up and down the pencil while I was trying to take a test. So the following week I stopped by. I had to see her brother for something, and I stopped by, and she said, I know what happened. And she said, I got the test back. When I was right, he was on the point, and when I was wrong, he was on the eraser. And he kept going back and forth.
I got chills again.
Anybody.
She's cheating.
Now I'm announcing it.
Well, she didn't realize it until after the fact. Then it would be like, come on, Pop, let's go. We got a test today.
She has a lot of help with him, and I know that. And my husband, since he passed, seems to be the helper to all my mediums. And I've even sent them. I've said, listen, I'm going to give you an assignment. Just ask for my husband. You're going through fear and anxiety. Just ask for my husband. See what happens. And one of the girls called me. And she said, oh, my God, your husband has the best laugh. He was sitting right on the edge of my bed, and he made me laugh, and he made me feel better, and I wasn't so scared. He's coming through everybody. And I don't know what level he's on. I heard he's pretty high up there. He was an amazing human being with a beautiful soul, an empath as well. And now he's helping. So I'm very happy. He's part of my team, and people see him when I'm working on their loved ones. They'll say, there's a man standing next to you. Did you lose somebody? Was it your husband? And they don't even know what they're talking about. And they're coming out with this stuff. And I'm like, well, that would be him. He never came in my classroom in life, but he's in there all the time now.
Of course.
They learn when they cross over.
Yeah, my late husband too, not so much lately as he was, when he first passed, and I really needed him. And, then it got to the point where it's like, okay, I don't really need you so much anymore. It's okay. You can leave me alone now. But, he makes himself known. He absolutely does.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. But I want it known out there too, that you teach mediums. However, you are not a medium.
Thank you.
You are a healer. So,
listen,
you don't have to.
My students think that I am. They keep telling me that I am, because I tell them everything all the mediums tell them. I just don't talk to dead people. I don't channel like that. I have seen my husband in 3D only once, and he scared the bejesus out of me. It was a few months after he passed, and I was in bed. I got up to go to the bathroom. I got back in. I checked the clock. It was 2:43. And I got in bed. Now, all of a sudden I hear footsteps coming up my stairs, heavy men's footsteps, like work boots. I have 3 adult sons. They all work at night. 2 of them live a little further away, but they work close to my home. So I said, all right, they all have keys. One of them's going to crash on the couch for a few hours. It wasn't uncommon. I didn't think about it, but trudging up the stairs and maybe going into the guest room. Okay. No big deal. I'm living alone. And my back is to the door. I was facing the backyard. And my door's open. It was always open. Now, all of a sudden, the footsteps come my way. Now, there's a bathroom right outside my door. So I said, okay. Now I'm annoyed. All right. Like, I'm a light sleeper. You could call me and tell me you're coming. I'll answer. But why are you going into my bathroom when you could have gone downstairs? So this is all what's running through my head. I'm wide awake. And now the footsteps come into my room. Now my boys are in their 40s. There's no way they're walking into my room without saying, hey, Ma, or knocking on the door. All right? So now I'm thinking home invasion. I'm in trouble. And I'm eyeing what I have to work with. And it's like 15-ounce phone. And my lamp is plugged into the back of my waterbed. So there's no way I can get that. All right, so I got to see what I'm looking at. What am I dealing with here? So I grabbed the comforter and I pulled it in and I kind of peered over my shoulder with one little peeky eye. And my husband was standing at the foot of my bed, as clear as he had a red T-shirt on. It was so clear. And he disappeared as quickly as I saw him, but he put me at ease. So with that, he came around to the side that I was on, and I felt his energy for about a minute. And then he walked back around, footsteps and all. I heard the covers come up, and he got in the bed. And I rolled over, and I put my arm over him, and it lasted, I'm going to say it dissipated in anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes. And that was it. And I was
a long time, actually.
Rolled over and went to sleep. He used to come a lot. He doesn't really come much anymore. The last time was a year ago, Valentine's Day. But he comes, but I don't see him. He makes me tingle from my elbow to my wrist. And it's always in the middle of the night. And of course, I look up and say, really now? Really? It's sort of a joke at this point. But
right.
He really,
I had a scary thing come into my bed one night. Oh my God. My old house. Yeah. I thought it was my dog, because my dog would sleep on the bed with me. So this after my husband passed away. And, there was a lot of spirit activity in my house because, I was in the paranormal. So a lot of stuff going on. But all of a sudden, there's a stool at the foot of the bed. So the dog would jump on the thing and then walk up on the bed. And you hear boom, 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 boom. You feel it, boom, boom, boom. Well, I hear the thump. I feel the footsteps going across the bed, but it seemed bigger, like heavier, like really thump, 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 thump. And I'm going, huh? I'm like going, all right, and I'm facing the way I always face, away. Okay. And then my dog is laying right at my face, right on the ground. And I was like, okay, so that's not my dog. And then I was like too scared to actually look. So I'm going, all right, can you, I don't know what or who you are, but can you please leave?
Get out of my bed.
You're so nice. You're so nice. You don't tell them please leave.
I was so scared though. And then, right, this is what I did. I kind of felt like a little lifting, right? But then I look over, I get the nerve to look over. And what do I see? I see this thing coming from the ceiling, right? Now, my TV's always on. So I have the TV light in the room, right? And that's it. So I see this thing coming from the ceiling. It was like a ball of black smoke and all these little fingers off of it coming down from the ceiling straight down to the pillow next to me. I'm thinking it's a damn tarantula. Right.
It sounded like a big spider.
I jumped I went from laying down to standing up in 2.2 seconds, and flipped on the light and there was nothing. Nothing. And I was freaking out. I'm going, what the heck is this? And then I'm breaking out sage. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. Because I searched if that was that big of a tarantula, because it was like softball size. If it was that big, you would see it. It would be in the room still. It couldn't even get off the bed for as fast as hiding. Up and there's no hiding that thing. But I scared the dog. The dog is running out of the room. And I'm just like, oh my God,
My answer to you is get the flock out of here. Okay, that's what you should have said. Not, could you please leave?
Oh,
Could
at
you
that point, I
please leave?
did. Well, it's like
God,
right next to you at that time. And I'm like,
hit the
yeah.
road, Jack.
But I mean, later on, I did end up. I had another story. Like I took a really bad thing home. I mean, I did a bunch of bad things. I did too many investigations, lack of sleep, travel, all kinds of stuff. And I took a brick and a spike home from the Hoosac Tunnel at the end of all of these investigations. Never do I do that. And I always say to everyone, never ever. I don't even care if it's a pebble. Don't take a pebble from a haunted location. Never do it. And why did I do this? I have no clue. It was like I was so, I mean, I didn't sleep for, I swear, it was like 4 days. And I went to Trans-Allegheny. I went to Hillside. I was out in Staten Island. And I went to the Hoosac Tunnel and over to that mansion over there. And all, the graveyard across the street. All this stuff. So I was doing all these things and then take that home. And I was still 2 hours away from home. But then this thing came into my home and it wrecked a lot of things in my home.
Oh,
And
dear.
it blew up my
Nice.
television twice. It blew up my computer, my printer, smashed my microwave. I mean, I'm home by myself, right? Smashed my microwave. Then I was, get the F out of here. I'm like, oh my God. I had people come in to help me, clear the house and
Well,
everything.
sometimes you need a couple of heavy hitters.
Yeah.
But again, the key to all of it is to never have fear. Okay, because the minute you give in to fear, you become the target. I mean, really, it's you can't. And I know that's hard. I've never had it. That's a lie. I did have fear once in my life when my daughter started to hemorrhage, and that was it. And it took me only a few minutes to say, what are you doing? You know better than this. And I said, it's in the hands of God. And with that, I just let it go. And I found what I try to explain to people is letting go and letting God. And every muscle, everything relaxed. And, so I would say out of my life, that's probably the largest fear that I had. And since then, I don't buy into it.
I don't really have the fear of it.
No, you can't if you walk into.
I go into paranormal places. I don't have that fear. I was more angry, and I'm like, what the bleep, 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 bleep.
You do it in my space. I want to ask Mama a question. I keep seeing her in my peripheral vision. Every time I'm kind of focusing on you, but I could see her naturally, and I see a lot of purple. I see a lot of purple in your energy field. I'm seeing all different colors this time. I told you green when we talked before, but this time you have blue coming out of your right hand, but your hands are edged in purple. But when I see you, Mama, your whole arm, I'm just seeing purple all over the place. So to me, again, when I see purple is mediumship. All right. So if I don't know what you do, because this is the first time we're meeting, and I certainly know that you're sensitive and that you read and you heal and things like that, but I'm seeing a tremendous amount of purple around you. Do you channel? Do you do mediumship?
Yes and no. I mean, I don't consider myself a medium, but I know that when I do readings, I do get messages, but I don't consider myself. I don't like to be told I'm a medium or a psychic or whatever. For me, I'm a healer, because whether it's the mind, the body, or the soul, that's what I do.
I can only tell you what I see, and when I see purple, I know what purple means. So I'm seeing purple on you. It's not solid. It's lighter, which to me means it needs to be more developed, because if I see the lighter shade of purple, and again, it's the whole time anytime you talk, Gina, I'm seeing other colors. I'm seeing different ones shooting in. Of course, again, blue to me is the throat chakra, and that's communication. All right. And I know you both communicate, but you communicate a lot. Okay. So Gina, I'm pointing at you, but I don't mean to. So people know what I'm talking about. I'm saying name.
You told me I talk too much.
You communicate a lot, but I'm seeing. Listen, in my aura, when I have an aura photo taken, the color closest to my body is neon green. It has always been since the 90s. Every time I've had the photo, I have solid green against my energy field. Then the turquoise comes in, then the purple and white. I have 4 different distinct colors. And each time I've had it done, as years progressed, in the early 2000s, I had a huge dark purple ball on the top of my head. It used to be over here. Now it was here. It was right above my head. The white was much more, and the blue and the green mixed together and became some type of a turquoise shade. And so now, yeah, so it develops and changes as we develop and change, as we evolve. There's, different things happen. And I do believe that we're limitless. I do believe that.
Right.
Okay, so if I decide to declare one day, okay, talk to me, dead people. That sounds disrespectful, but I joke about it that way. And if that's what's going to happen, I know I've seen my husband. I know I channel my guides in stories, in storylines. I get a story of somebody. If somebody's sitting in front of me for a healing and I get a story, I have to tell that story. And that story always resonates with that person. Okay. But it's whatever storyline. I know you guys have listened to the book or read the book, but that cell memory is so filled with information from the moment you set foot on this planet, on this earth. You started to absorb information, collect files and more files. And your guides have access to all those files. So when they need you to know something, you don't have to remember it from when you were 4 or 5 years old, but they can pull that memory so quickly right to the front of your brain. So I just go with the stories. And
that's so funny. I always say my brain is like filing cabinets and the drawers are always open. And that's why I need a television on to go to sleep, because I can't just shut those doors and shut my mind off.
Okay, I'm gonna have to teach you to shut that down, because one thing I need is sleep. Sleep and food.
I sleep if I have the TV on, but if I don't, if I go away and there's no TV in the bedroom, I have everything on my phone. I have movies on my phone, and I have to put on something mundane. I can't put on music because I'll sing along to the music. That'll keep me up all night. I can't put on a movie that I really truly want to watch, because that will keep me up as I want to watch it. So I'll put on something mundane, just something,
You're about to get a new tip, okay? Only because you said the word mundane. The minute you said mundane, I knew where my story was going, okay? Here it comes. Now, after my mother passed, I was having some difficulty sleeping. My husband passed after my mother and father. My father passed, my mother passed, and my husband. And I decided that I needed to do something mundane. So I looked up a song on the internet, on YouTube. I looked up the lyrics, a song that I had heard, but we all hear new songs every day. We can hear the chorus, but we don't technically know the words. So I would pick a song, and I started out with a song. It's a very old song, but it was on Notting Hill, the movie Notting Hill, but it's an old song by Charles Aznavour, and he outdates everybody. Okay, he's French. And it was called She. So I looked up the lyrics. I read them through a couple of times. So when I go to bed, as soon as the upset or the thoughts, anything comes in that I don't need to listen to, or I go right to the song and I begin to practice it, because it is mundane. It has no value, no emotion connected to it. And by the time you get to the third chorus, you're out cold, because you are focusing on this. So when my husband passed, and I went through many songs after that. I went to John Legend, I went to Adele, I went to Christina Perri. I was going all over the place. I was Bruno Mars. I learned so many songs, but that first song took me about a year to get to the end of it, because it would put me right out. After my husband passed, I started to do it again. I don't do it every night. I only did it for a short while after my mother. And any time that my mind was too busy and I couldn't shut it down, especially when you go away and you've got no television or whatever. And so you spin down. And I don't have a television in my room. I never have. And so I have a fan on, and that probably makes my buzz. My kids always had vaporizers or fans or humidifiers or something that kind of now they came out with all those little boxes for the babies that make
the noise is the
noise,
sound.
white noise boxes. So why do we need them? We need them because spirit is always around. They're always around. So you're probably fighting off a lot of other stuff and you don't even realize it. So you
I
need
do
something.
realize it. Yeah, I do know that. I do know that. And
The
they'll bother me
phones
all night.
really
Even
work.
if I tell them to stay away. We do have to. It is our.
I need
We're actually a little bit
commercial
past
break here.
time. Yep, we're gonna do our little commercial. We'll
Yep.
be right back. When we come back after our little 3-minute commercial break, we're gonna talk about you and Teresa Caputo and a whole bunch more. And I think the show's gonna go late tonight.
Okay.
And
Jump.
The Fox Den is now proudly sponsored by Vortex Ghost Gear, one of the leading fabricators of paranormal equipment. Bob Christopher is the founder and creator of Vortex Ghost Gear. He has decades of investigating, starting with his team at NAPA and as lead in the popular local TV show Ghost Detectives. He has experience of how spirits could be seen or heard. Using this knowledge, he has manufactured equipment for specific scenarios of spirit manifestation and communication. He is the only manufacturer of the popular lifelike trigger prop cats and dogs. Using proximity meters wired to lights and sound, these prove to be highly effective communication devices in the field of study. The HTO, another Vortex exclusive, allowing specific items to be the highlight or trigger of your investigation. For example, place the item on a metal tray or attach directly to any metal object such as keys or glasses that continue to go missing or moved. Ask the spirit to touch the item. The HTO will light. It has a sound option as well. This device was used in Travel Channel's Ghost Nation with great results. The Dome, a static detector, can be the most useful device in your gear bag. This is to back up the theory that the spirits manifest using static electricity. Using several, you can track a spirit, for example, walking down a hallway, setting off each as it passes. The geophone detects vibrations. This is another way to track movement. If a claim is footsteps in the hallway or stairwell, set the sensitivity and place the device in that area. Its band of lights will show a range of vibrations from the slightest tapping, lighting only a few lights, to the loudest thumping, lighting the entire range. The Easy Scan ghost boxes are very popular due to the ease of use. They are custom decorated to the individual or team using them. Bob programs and uses an Arduino-based computer scanning FM waves to potentially communicate with the spirit realm in real time. Every box is unique and all custom hand decorated by Gina Bankston. The V-Pod has a special place for those who love the idea of REM pods. Use this sleeker, smaller, easier to transport device. It is a must-have in your gear bag. Take your investigating to the next level with many of Vortex Ghost Gear's unique and custom creations by Bob Christopher. Visit www.vortexghostgear.com to view all the products and get your equipment today. You can also investigate with Bob and Gina with ghostly excursions, taking people to some of the most haunted locations in the USA. Visit www.ghostlyexcursions.com and join us on our next adventure. And we're back.
That was all quite fascinating.
Yeah, that's my life.
I have
I love voices.
before we change into the before we go into the next level, I have no issues with sleeping. I can fall asleep standing up.
Me too.
I get into bed, I take a couple of deep breaths, and I'm out like a light. I've never had an issue with sleeping.
God.
I could just
Well,
put my head down
sleep
and
like you. And I did used to fall asleep standing up, truth be told. In front of a 10-foot speaker, I did it once. I did it driving for a while, which was dangerous, but I felt like I had a form of narcolepsy of some kind. And everything really went away when I started.
I find that lately, I'll get that nodding thing, like, oof, you're gonna
Yeah,
go up.
it's not a good thing.
Yeah, it's kind
But
of strange.
with Mama, the only time that I had to use that method for me was more after someone's passing, where I needed, I don't want to do, nobody likes to cry. Okay. Especially
Mm,
when you're laying down, think about it. You're
yeah.
sobbing, your ears getting full of tears. It's, my sinuses would fill up. And I said, I can't, this is not what I want to do. So it was more related to grief for me, but I've given it out for people to help them sleep. So they've given me feedback and I know that it works. So
Yeah.
Well,
that,
I'll let you know.
I'm more like you, Mama, than Gina, because I
Yeah.
knock
I do
right
wake
out.
up.
Bob, like, oh, I was up all night. It's like, you were not. You were
No, I was
snoring so
confused.
loud you could,
Exactly, because they don't remember that stuff. But I will wake up throughout the night, but
Yeah.
fall asleep. There you go. Yeah, I'm
I
done.
use my bed as a safe haven. I actually created an affirmation whenever I have a sore back or anything from gardening or whatever I'm doing, lifting little kids, bulldogs, doesn't matter. I'm always lifting something. And if I'm aching in any way, shape, or form, many years ago, probably 25 years ago, I came up with the thought, my bed is my safe haven. This is where my body heals when I sleep.
Nice.
So every time I wake up, I am perfectly normal and fine, no matter what I went through the day before. So, or how I crawled into bed that night. So I use it, but I always say when I sleep, I don't want my bed to be my safe haven, because thoughts become things. I don't want to stay in that bed. I don't want to
Yeah.
end up in that.
And that's another
Always
point.
when I
That's
sleep,
another
always
point.
be careful with your words.
Manifestation is in
Yes.
here with pure intent and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
We mentioned that a lot on this show, and it is
Yeah.
all culminated right in that book. So simple and easy. The way that you wrote it, it's just everybody will be like, "Oh my God, yeah!" And you made that list. Like, people have these lists. What's the list of being an empath? What's the list of being this? What's the list of being that? This things that you've added onto the list of things
I
that I
know.
knew that I didn't know,
Yeah.
and I was just like, wow, I didn't even associate that with
Yeah.
being
It's
an
what
empath.
I find. Yeah, it's what I find when people come in. So,
Fascinating, fascinating. Now you also do meditations, and you have meditations
mhm.
available, and that's what's the site? What's the site?
I'm going to put a YouTube link into the chat room. As we've been going through the show, I've been putting links into the chat room, so
Yeah,
you're going to have a lot of people.
PatLongo.net, her site. Instagram, Pat Longo 1111. Instagram is pretty cool. She's got some really neat stuff on there. We're going to show you some stuff from that when she does healings, because she does a lot of events and she's public speaking. She's speaking about this. She's speaking, she's doing healings for like a lot of
Lots of people.
a lot of people at once. And while she's doing it, all right, the things that people are seeing are so insane. The shadows that come up, all right, let's see. This It looks like, all right, one of these, the bottom one looks like angel wings. The other one looks like a whole bunch of different hands are coming up at various levels, and they're like lifting her up. And we have a video on here which was really kind of crazy. I'm going to put this one on. And now watch your hands come down. Okay. Now you can see the light is above her. Okay. And you can see the shadow on the one side. Now watch this come up from the ground. All right. Straight up. And you can see that that's a woman's hand straight up. Now, if that was her shadow, it would be straight across. So how is that possible? It boggles my mind even thinking about how these things are on there. Did you get the other one on here?
No, I didn't.
Okay. All right. And we have and then these pictures that we were doing this like 2 minutes before the show, but
Yeah.
she has
I
another
will
video
put it up.
also.
I will put it up into the Fox Den after the show.
Okay, great. And like just it will be like multiple arms or multiple it'll look like feathers.
Yeah,
Just
there were definitely feathers down between my beige pants legs. If you look at them,
right, yeah, the one way on the side. That looks
arm
like
arm is turning into feathers as it comes down, and then there's an arm that looks like an ET arm.
Yeah, exactly. Look at that one. That the top one is insane too. I mean,
I can't even explain that one.
right, and look at that, and then you have a sideways shadow coming out of you on one, and
Mhm.
it's like, how is this even? How is that doing that? Now there was another video. We were trying to do this, minutes before
Mhm.
the show is coming. So there was another video, like Mama said, she'll put it up on the Fox 10 page so you can see it. But I guess, what was it? Your arms are going in circles.
Well,
And
what happened was my students are not allowed to film me. They hadn't been. This has been going on for several years now. Every time I stand up to meditate, this is what would happen. And now I can't see it. My eyes are closed. And my students usually can't see it either because for years it's been, their eyes are closed. My eyes are closed. We didn't know. And just about 2 years. It's 2 years this month. I think it happened in August. 2 years ago is when they first became aware of it. And it was about 20 minutes before class ended. And I was telling them about this beautiful picture of the Sacred Heart that they should go see. And, the woman only takes registration one night a year. So I said, you have to call. And some of the people in the class were new and they said, what are you talking about? And so I began to explain. I said, Jesus's face changes and you could feel his heartbeat. You can get close to the picture and she'll take the picture off and put it over your head and people heal, all kinds of crazy stuff. So they said, well, what do you mean face changes? And I said, well, it's kind of like the Michael Jackson video. His face goes really fast and it switches. So I said, it's called face changing. And I said, I used to do it in the class I attended when I first learned all of this. I remember one night we did it. We put up a sheet on the wall and somebody stood up and people would focus. And so they said, oh, can we do it? Can we do it? And I said, all right, we only have 15 minutes left. So I'll sit here. I had a round table in front of me. I'll sit here. You guys will gather in. It was about 32 people that night. So they came around and I said, just focus on my forehead and your peripheral vision will pick things up. Maybe you'll pick up my aura. Maybe you'll see the face changes and just call out what you see. Soften your eyes and just let it happen. A few minutes in, they're calling out, oh, your face got really long, it got young, you got long golden curly hair, now you're a man, you have a beard, and they're saying all this stuff. And I was expecting that. I just lost my ear thing.
Oh.
I popped right out. So I was expecting it, and now my hands are folded like this underneath my chest. Their fingers are clasped, and all of a sudden they start to pull. And I mean pull, and I'm trying to stop them from opening because I know what's going to happen. My arms are going to fly open. It happens all the time when I meditate, and I didn't want to do it because, again, there were new people that don't see it. And now I had no control. It feels like, when you stick your finger in those things when you were kids, the Chinese thing, you can't get your finger out. Well, that's what was happening. So finally, they just let go. So now my arms are way out. But what happens is my head goes back. So I smack the wall. My chest is out. My arms are here, and I have no control over it, okay? When it's done, it's done. It follows a course. And when it's finished, my arms let go like rubber bands, and they slap over my shoulders. So this has been for 30 years. This has been going on, all right? Mm-hmm. So I know I've got new people in the class. What am I going to say? So it happened. So I said, okay, I didn't open my eyes. I just want to let you know. I was completely cognizant of what was going on. I said, this happens to me when I'm in a meditative state or around a lot of energy. So just pay no attention. Keep doing what you're doing and we're fine. 2 seconds. No more than 10, I can tell you that. And all of a sudden I start hearing, pardon my language, everybody, oh my God, holy shit. Oh my God, holy shit. And this is going on throughout the room. And I'm like, what? What's the matter? What's the, I'm like, I'm standing here against the wall. What's the matter? So, because I can't bring my hands down until it's done. Yeah. So they told me that wings had come out of me, but not like the ones you just saw. These we don't have on camera. These, they said they came out of my sides and completely covered the entire wall behind me in perfect feather form. Wow. And they when I moved, they moved in the opposite direction. So if I slightly moved one way, they went the other way. And lights were coming out of my hands. Purple light was coming out of my mouth, stuff was coming out of my head, and they're telling me all this stuff. And they're each person, and there were people in tears, and I said to them, listen, when it ended, I didn't know what they saw. They were telling me. I said, please email me what you saw. And then I got a whole slew of the most amazing, beautiful, but they were all almost the same. Each one of them saw different things. Now, so I said, listen, let's see what happens tomorrow night when I teach. So I did the same thing, sat in my chair, but this time I turned on my meditation music and I began to do our meditation that we bring in the light. Before before anybody reads in my class or heals, we bring in God's light. So I start to bring it in, and there we go. And it's right back where we started from. Only now I have arms coming out of my sides. All right. Now you saw some of the ones in the teal shirt, maybe even in the black and white one. Huge arms, big thick arms that look like the Incredible Hulk, and they're coming out of my sides. Now, once you start to look closer, you'll see there are other shadows close to my arms. And then as each week went by, more arms would show up. And then some of them, as you saw, would be almost like in an animal form, only on one side. There's always a hood behind my head, like I have a robe on, and it goes straight down to the floor. If you pay attention, it separates from the actual arms that are extending from me. And I've looked at this a lot now because I come home, my siblings are the only ones that are allowed to video. Up until the last month, I told them that they could because I felt comfortable enough. Yeah. I was not comfortable at first. I said, I don't want anybody taking pictures of this. I don't want this all over the place until I kind of get a feeling for what's happening.
Exactly.
Now, it just got bigger and bigger. They saw the woman Shiva with many arms. I would have many arms on both sides. I would have a red stone in my forehead. Then I became Isis. And I didn't know who I was. They would send me pictures. This is what I saw. And I would have black hair, and it would be angled and longer. And instead of having angel feathers, I would have feathers attached to both my arms. And then when they sent me the pictures, I could see it. It was, it was a costume of some kind. And then somebody said there was an eagle coming out of my chest.
She said she doesn't channel.
Well, I listen. I'm like completely aware. I know I channel energy. Well, now I'm channeling energy, all right. But I don't know. I didn't know what it was about. And I've come to the conclusion after doing it enough. Yes, Archangel Michael does have those arms. And let me tell you something. I will send you some videos of when they become Archangel wings, because you can see them coming up from the floor.
We'll put all these things on them.
Yeah, and they attach to me. Yeah, it's amazing. It boggles my mind. I go home and I look at what my sisters have sent me, and I'm saying, holy shit, because I can't. I'm like, how could this be possible? So this is what I believe, all right? I believe that we're in difficult times and that this has to do with faith. It has to do with bringing people back to faith, because you cannot, no matter what you do, you can't disprove this. Anybody can do whatever they can to debunk it, because it's just happening right in front of everybody's face and there's nothing else there. And I have 2 professional photographers in my classes, in different classes, who have also assessed it. And then I had an electrician came to my house with his wife for a client, and I showed him. And he got up and he showed me a plant on the wall, and the way the light hit the plant, he explained it to me. He said, what's happening to you isn't possible. So right. That's as much of I know.
Me and Mama were talking about this, and she's like, oh, well, you can see that her arm is away from the wall. I'm like, yeah, doesn't matter, because that hand is coming straight up.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you thought it was a woman's hand. Yeah, I disagree.
Yeah, like you see this hand. Like,
so you want to play it again?
It's yes, but I want to tell you something before you do it. When it comes up, the first side, the side that's got the shadows, one side for some reason doesn't have any shadows, and that's peculiar in itself. So the one side's coming up. Now, what I now realize is that when it gets closer to me, you can see a hand on the side with the shadows, but it's coming out of a robe sleeve, right? Yes. So when the next one comes up, the sleeve is way down here. to me and the people that what they see, it's Jesus standing behind me. And
Some
these are his
people
shoulders
would
when you
be
see the points. So now put it up again and look at it that way.
All right. This is just crazy.
All right, so it comes up, and then this, I didn't even know that was a hand until 2 weeks ago. I looked at it and I realized it was becoming a hand, and then the other one comes up. All right, so now you see the shoulders and the robe sleeves, okay?
Right.
So to me, I believe he's standing right behind me. There's always somebody behind me.
Yeah.
And
And
it's
that's why
always,
you said you were on the wall, because you're trying to keep them in
well,
front of you and not be
they
behind.
started pushing my feet up off the floor. I started on flat feet, but as time went by, they brought me up on my toes, which I have to tell you, this is very painful when this happens, by the way. My shoulder blades, my rotator cuffs feel like they're being ripped out. My chest is pushed way out. My head has hit the wall many times. But once they put me up on my feet, I get leg cramps. So I'm up there. I've been up there as long as 11 minutes on my feet. Most of them are about 5, 6, maybe 7, but 11 minutes was the longest. And it hurts. I have asked them to lessen the pain, and they have. It's not, I don't feel it after the fact anymore. I don't feel sore shoulders. I feel good. But I'm getting spacey now when it happens. I'm starting to kind of lose myself, which I never did before. The last few times, especially that one, I can't really see anybody when I'm done. It takes me a minute to focus again. Ashley wants you to play it again. Play it again, Sam.
Get it again, Sam.
Get the comment up. Right.
But you see how dark it is close to me? It's almost like something else is there.
Yeah.
And
you see where the light source is. You know, it's directly above
there's
her.
only one light on the top of my
that
head.
arm just comes up. I mean, it's not like it's a fast. It comes up to her arm. Her arm coming down is not going that fast.
Listen, every one of us gasped. You know, when I saw it, remember, I had to get home to see it. And when I got home after class, I was, what just happened? You know, so it's hard to take in, even for me. But it's, I'm always cognizant. But now, when I'm doing this, I am completely sending healing. All right. I am sending healing, and I'm sending it first to the people in the room.
And she did it to me. We talked the other day, and I have been in pain for like months. And honestly, since I've talked to you, I've felt better. And I'm just like, I finally was breaking down, and I do not go to the doctor. And everyone that knows me can attest to it. It's like, I really hate it. I have to be like, my appendix would have to burst before I go.
Cancel.
And I'm like, oh, I just feel so much better, and I have to thank you.
Well, you are welcome. I get emails all the time. I don't talk to people after I do healings, and they'll tell me what they felt like before. Sometimes it happens instantly in the room, and I know what to expect. I had a man on the table one day, and I don't have a table. I don't use a table. I mean, I have a table, but I don't use a table. I only use a table for spinal injuries and for little children that can't sit still. Everybody else just sits in a chair in the middle of my floor, and it only takes 5 minutes and it's done. So, because I'm not doing it, please remember that. And I do have to say, and I don't know, Gina, if I mentioned this to you, but going back quite a few years, a woman came to me from New Jersey, and she brought a friend with her who had cancer, and she had a healing for herself, and she paid for the healing for her friend. And when it was her friend's turn, she went to the back of the room. It's a long rectangular room, and it was my classroom, and she sat in the back. I did my healing. Now, my back is to this woman, to the woman in the back of the room, and I'm done, and her mouth is open. She said, "Do you have any idea who works with you?" I said, "Well, no, I really don't give it a lot of thought. I know I'm not alone. I know it's not me. So, I mean, I assume it was Jesus and Mary and whoever, archangels, I don't know." So she said to me, "I'm a medium." And she came from a different state. And she said, "I channel archangels." And she said, "Archangels, they were so huge in this room. They were all around you. Gabriel was standing behind you. And in my thoughts, I was like, what are you doing here?" And she said, "I got such a look, like, what do you think?" But that was the first time. 2 years later, a friend of mine, she's an author and on television, Laura Lynn Jackson, and She was in the room. She had brought her daughter for a healing. She was sitting on the side. I did the healing. Same words. She said, "Oh my God, Pat, you have no idea what I just saw." And she said their heads were right through your ceiling. That's how big they were. So again, all right, so now I know. And I didn't know before, and I didn't care before, and I don't think about it now, but I have a story. So, you know, this, and now I'm making archangel wings out of my shadows. And so listen, I've been told by my students that this is going to happen and that I'm going to be traveling and I'm going to be doing this. I don't know when that's going to happen. In the hotel, that's where that picture was taken. I teach in a hotel, and I moved, so I don't have a classroom anymore. So now I rent space. So I never know what room I'm going to be in. Every time I come, there's 3 rooms, and every time I come, they have me in a different room. I just go wherever my name is on the wall. And they have the overhead lighting. It's all the same lighting in every room. And usually it just seems like when the filming is being done and when it's happening, the light gets really bright, really bright. It doesn't look like that normally, but it gets really bright, like a glow.
Yeah,
and
like over you and no one else.
Oh, yes, over me.
Right.
Now my students have been telling me that they have spontaneous healings going on. Some of them are crying when I'm finished. They tell me, some of them say they can't see me. They tell me my face turns like water. And well, this is really what people did see with their eyes. One woman said my head came off my shoulders and it just was kind of floating. Another one said it became like liquid and they couldn't see me. And then my hair turns colors all the time. It's black. It's golden. They don't say anything about the men anymore. Like I have a beard or anything like that. They tell me that people are standing next to me. The children are standing next to me. The one man saw an eagle coming out of my chest. People see things coming out of my throat. The one time they said a purple light was just coming right out of my mouth. There's always colors coming out of my hands, out of my fingers, and there's always lights around my head. Yes, it's all with the naked eye, Taryn. Everything is with the naked eye. They're sitting right in front of me. They're my students. And it happened to me in Chicago, Wisconsin. I went to do I was a keynote speaker for a weekend there. And the woman who invited me knew about it, and she told 2 people. So those 2 people peeked. Everybody's eyes were supposed to be closed. And I walk through the audience because they're all at tables, and I'm walking through with my arms out, and I'm doing healing as I'm going. And so they peeked, and they gave me the descriptions. One woman saw me from a past life, and she was quite gifted herself, and she said we were in these past lives together. The other woman saw rainbow lights coming out of me as I walked through the room. So I don't know what's going to happen. I know it's going to happen because
Jojo says, do you think the stigmata will be next? Well,
it kind of is. You have to think about this. In the case of Christ and Padre Pio, the stigmata is considered these holes in the hands and the feet. But technically, the pain that I experience while doing this is, let's just say, according to my students, I am carrying the suffering of the world when I'm standing there. Because if you look, and I'm going to have you go back and look at some of the other photos, maybe after this is over, my arms go out, but what happens is it's so heavy that it feels like I'm Atlas carrying a cement world. And if you look, you'll see my arms, my muscles are straining and my veins are straining because the weight is so heavy. And again, that's why it feels like my shoulders are ripping out. So if I'm feeling the pain of the world, it hurts.
Right. Well, stigmata is something completely different, but you know, you got to be like a saint. And Jojo, go visit the grave that's in Rhode Island. There's a stigmata grave. Rose is in the Precious Blood Cemetery in Rhode Island. But anyway, that just is really crazy. Now I know this time is like flying by, and I know people are curious as to know How do you know Teresa Caputo? How did she become one of your students?
Okay. Well, they're going to be very interested in this story.
Right.
I knew Teresa's parents before they were married, before Teresa was even a thought. I knew Teresa's grandparents. I'm 70, I'm going to be 71 years old this year. And this was after one of her shows. We were doing an after party. And Teresa I danced at her wedding before she ever knew she had a gift. Yes, my son used to sleep there all the time because my son and her brother, her only brother, are their best friends. They have been best men in each other's weddings. Now, they've played soccer together since they were 8. So that's really when I got pulled more friendly with her parents. I knew them, but we weren't hanging out together. And I bowled with her mother. We were on the same league for a while. And one night, Teresa came over, and they lived next door to each other, and she knocked on my window. I was dropping her mom off, and she said, "Mrs. Longo, Mrs. Longo, are you still doing those classes?" I said, "Yes, I am." Teresa, "Do you want to come?" "No, yeah, I think I want to come." So now she came. First of all, she has had tremendous anxiety, tremendous, almost the worst case that I've had, and she couldn't drive in the rain. All right. Bad enough she couldn't drive in the back seat. Most of the time she wanted to be the driver, but she could not drive in the rain. And she couldn't go in an elevator. She couldn't go in an airplane. She wouldn't eat in any restaurant. She had only 2 that she was comfortable in. Now, when my class at the time, in 2001, I was only teaching 1 class. And it was on a Wednesday night. And she would call me up and say, "I can't come. It's raining." That was the first class. And the second week it rained again. So she called me up and says, "I can't come. It's raining." Okay. The third week she called me up, it was raining again. It was all for her. You know, the universe was providing. And she said, "I am coming. I am coming. I practice going up and down the block all day long. So I'm coming." So she came. Now she came with a cousin because she wouldn't go anywhere by herself. So she came with her cousin. And Teresa only came to 1 class because her daughter's gymnastics schedule changed. So she couldn't come back for the next year. And that's when she tapped on my window the next time. And so she came, and it was her cousin stayed for a long time. And it was really good because her cousin introduced me to many people that were ill from different states that I was able to do healings with. So there's a purpose for everything. Timing, it's all about timing. And so she came back. She was there for 2 weeks. 2 weeks. On the second week, the first week, there was a medium in the room. She was sitting next to the medium, and I was having people see what they could get on other people in the room. So the girl turns to her and said, "This is going to happen really fast for you." And Teresa said, "What's going to happen?" Because she's always in a panic. "What's going to happen really fast?" She said, "This is going to happen really fast for you." And then that was the end of the night. Next week, that girl is absent, and Teresa sat in her seat. I had strangers that came in that night. 2 people brought guests, and we began, and all of a sudden, Teresa turned around, and stuff was coming out of her mouth to this girl about her loved ones, and Teresa did not know what hit her. She did not know what hit her. She argued with me at the door and said, "That only happened to me because I was sitting in her chair. That only happened to me because I was sitting in her chair." And I said, "Okay." And then it was history. It was very rapid. So now people have to understand that I don't go around with my readers from place to place. I don't do that. But for whatever reason, Kim Russo, who's another amazing medium, Kim and I went to the same class together originally. We weren't in it together. She was in my daughter's class. My daughter was gifted as well. And I met Kim in the driveway. So I would travel with Kim, but Kim was not my student. Kim and I were friends. We figured this out for the first year together. We talked every morning on the phone. We were trying to figure it out. She was a medium. I was a healer. And, we would talk all the time. But I would go with Kim just because she was uncomfortable going to strange places in different parts of the island by herself. So when I was available, I went. Teresa was different. And I don't know why. Maybe it was because of her anxiety that I went with her. But I went to every group for that first year, and I would critique her. I would sit there quietly, and she would come out. First, I would put her in the light in the car, and she still has that. There's a joke about it because she uses a tape cassette. She asked me to put it on tape, my white light meditation, and then I put it on CD, and I gave it to her a couple of years ago for her birthday. And but I went with her, and she would come back out in the car, and I would tell her what she had to change. I would tell her how to expand on certain things, or I'd say, how did you get that? Well, why don't you try it this way? You might get more information. And then I would say, okay, don't make fun of yourself. And she has to, because that's just who she is. And I didn't like it. I said, don't make fun of yourself, but it's part of who she is. She's always been loud, and she's always been funny. And there's nothing, that's her personality. So I had to stop that. But we worked really hard that year. And then she came out one night and she said, okay, what did I do now? I said, you did nothing wrong. Everything was perfect. You don't need me anymore. And that was more shocking to her. I said, but my time is up here. And she would have a friend then come with her, because she didn't like going places alone either. But that's how we met. I've always known her, always. And but we just weren't connected in that way. And then, television came. She read for 10 years. 10 years before television came. And she called me up, and a mutual friend had connected her with somebody. And she said, what do you think? I said, check it out. And then she said, well, they want me to do a reading. First she had lunch. I said, go to lunch. I said, okay. They want me to go into the city, and I got to read this guy, but I can't go up an elevator. And I said, okay, climb the stairs. I said, so climb the stairs. And she said, it turns out the stairs only went 4 levels, and she had to get in the elevator, and that was not good. So she had to read somebody from the production company. And of course, she blew their doors off. And then she said, okay, I did this. All right, now they want me to do this. What do you think about this? So I basically just walked her through, because she trusted me. She got her attorney. She had her manager, and everybody else that came in were all great people. And then I had to kind of take a step back, because I got her she was in a restaurant. I had set her up in a restaurant, and that's where the people saw her. And, everything else is history. I know that we were divinely put together. I know that God gave me that year. The universe provided it so that I could really, I'm going to say, polish the gold. Okay. And I had to. A lot of things happened. She used to write everything down. I took her pen away. Then she was tapping, and I took the pen out of her hand. As you can't tap. And you're chewing gum. Get rid of the gum. So it was a process of I don't know. I just knew somehow, some way that, and everyone in my class knew that she would be the one on television. We all knew it.
Right. I have those feelings about people too. Like for interior design decorating, I always knew the color a year before, what was going to be the hottest color the next year.
Wow.
I couldn't find all the things I wanted to decorate. I couldn't find that color, And I was searching and searching and searching. And I'd have to make things that color, and then the next year that was the hottest color, my daughter was in school. Her roommate was Kristen Merlin. She was a singer that was on, the Voice, the show.
Okay.
And I swear she should have won. And they screwed her over right at the end, because they did this stupid Instagram vote or whatever the hell it was, some online vote at the end, because they wanted their little princess to win and not a gay girl. You know what I mean? But Kristen, I saw her singing at college, and I looked at my daughter and I said, she's gonna be huge. I'm like, that is like unbelievable talent right there. A lot of people I've run across, a lot of people in the paranormal, I'm like, yep, I know these people are going to make it, and I know those people aren't. You know what I mean? It's, you have those senses about people like that. I know it.
I have another celebrity in my, from my youth, same school. We all went to, Teresa went to school with my children. I think she's 2 years older than my oldest daughter. Yeah, because my daughter's 51 and she's 53. and they're born in the same week. Kim, Russo, Teresa, and my daughter, not the same year, but the same week. So we always celebrated birthdays together. And but Billy Joel went to school. He grew up with my husband. They lived around the block from each other, and they were born on the same day. They were born on May 9th, 1949. And Billy and my husband, again, they went to elementary school together. I met Billy in middle school. And in high school, 10th grade, we used to go to one of the fellows' houses that was close to the high school. And Billy would always practice with some of the other guys from the band. They had one band in school, and then it was another, and so they would practice there. And I remember, just like you, so maybe I am psychic, right? I sat there as a teenager, and I closed my eyes, and he was singing the cover song, Black is Black. And all I could hear, no matter what song he sang, he embodied the person who was singing. And I thought to myself, he's going to be famous. His voice was so amazing. And, he just moved on and on. He was in one of the bands at the Hassels when I was having little children. And we'd go by once in a while and watch him. And my husband was still kind of seeing him when he was sick.
I gotta say this. I don't know if it's happening with you guys or what, but my computer's been kind of like glitchy, like almost, and I'm getting these weird noises coming on. My chats, the I don't know if they are for you, Mama, seeing that the chats come up.
Yeah, the chats over there.
They're like, I don't know, they pop up and go down and just kind of move.
Yes.
Okay, maybe somebody saw an orb or something flying behind.
When did you see a light?
Did you notice before
the light?
The light behind you, Pat, just flashed. It went down and back up again. And I know it didn't happen because it just.
I'm at my brother's house. I don't even know what's on the wall.
Maybe because you're doing this, it might be the clicking might be from your earbuds.
Oh, maybe. Okay, maybe it's clicking. When I'm doing healing online, crazy sounds come out of my computer. Crazy sounds, high-pitched squeals, all sorts of crazy stuff. So I try to sit really far back. Now, as soon as I start to hear the sounds, I kind of stay back because it's energy. Now, Mama, you have been cutting out the entire time.
For me.
You could hear her fine the whole time when she talks. Oh my goodness, you're like underwater when you talk.
Spirit's trying to tell you to shut up.
Yeah. Oh, now you are. Now you're not sounding great.
Glitching. I can understand her completely, but she's glitching, and I don't know anything about the flash. So who's ever looking at that? If it's I know, I see look at that again. Behind me. I didn't even know what was behind me. I wasn't paying attention. My brother and my daughter, my sister-in-law threw me in a bedroom. Said, "Here, will this work?" I said, "Okay."
If it doesn't, too bad.
Yeah. Again, she had to drive 4 towns over because of the storms that went through. She has no power at her house. So she has no power, no internet. All the power lines are down. She was driving under power lines and everything else to help.
It was quite interesting. Yeah.
Amazing.
No street, no traffic lights. There were no traffic lights anywhere. And it was, I went under a tree that actually looked like this, and I had to go under the tree, and the wires were on the ground. It was the only way I could get off my block. It was hooked on wires, and I knew they weren't going to, it was hitting the ground. So it was above and it was straight down in an arc. And so listen, I've been driving a couple of days back and forth like that. Nobody's touched it. Yeah. And there's utility poles that are down and police blocking them on a major road to get to my brother's. So for 2 days now, because I did a Zoom class last night, so I was here last night as well. And for 2 days, I have been trying to find my way out of another neighborhood because they divert you. And I'm like, I don't even know where I am. I'm in another town. But I find
my mind. I need GPS for everything.
I'm very good with, well, you know what? There's no signals.
I know. That's what I mean. I'd go out of I'd be so lost.
Well, I know geographically, I know north, south, east, and west. So I was going right, left, until I got back out and I bypassed the police and I went the other way. So it's been a little challenging. You know, everything in the refrigerator melted. There's nothing in there to eat. And that's my biggest problem because I like food. And when I get home, I want to eat. And my sister-in-law fed me. So that was nice. I had dinner before we started, but I'm going to be looking for something when we get home. This little engine needs lots of fuel. With 17 grandchildren, you can't imagine. And I was with, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them today. Wow. 8 of them. Yeah. And I had 3 that I was taking care of, and then I took them to visit 4 others because we really didn't have anything to do. We've got no television or anything. So, all right, let's go over there and we'll see the little ones because they don't have television either. And maybe they'll be happy. And my daughter-in-law won't go crazy because she's got 4 babies and they're really little. And so they had a blast for an hour. And then I got a call that I had to pick up another one. A 10-year-old was being dropped at my house and I had to take her to field hockey practice and meet her father there and get the equipment. And, you know, so it's like this every day. I have a friend who calls me Wonder Woman, and she said, if I could just put a camera on you, if somebody could just hear the things you say when you're driving, because I'm always talking to traffic. And she calls me Mario Andretti. I'm always talking to traffic. And I said, she does that too. Okay. So see, there's another thing we have in common.
She's not talking. She's not talking.
Swearing. And I'm
she's
Italian.
Swearing and yelling.
And everything else is going.
I kind of do the same thing. And I can't say I'm Italian. I'm Italian by marriage, but I'm German by birth. And
I'm Finnish in Italian. I look Finnish, but I act Italian.
You act Italian.
Yeah, I'm Finnish. Yeah, finished WAP.
Okay, so is there anything else I can tell you about Teresa or anybody else?
I have a question, and it's not about any of your students. When you do a class and somebody wants to sign up for your class, do you get the feeling that they are, like I know you read my auras, you read Gina's auras, or you saw auras. Do you know everybody who comes in who says, okay, I want to be a medium? Can you see by the aura or what you get from whoever that they can be? Or,
I feel them. Okay. As soon as I meet people, I feel them. And when people come into my class, I don't advertise. No one knows that I teach. I mean, they do because I obviously talk about it. They do now, but I don't advertise it because I have to meet the person first. No one comes in my class unless I have met them, and I have to feel their energy. And most times when I'm doing they come for a healing. Anybody that comes for a session with me, the reason they have to come first, especially the people that want to be in the class, is because they need to be on the same page with everybody else. Yeah. I can't repeat the same information over and over again because I have an open class. There's 470 something students, and I do it 3 times a month, and whoever comes can come. Sometimes there's 45, sometimes there's 32. It just depends. Now, some of them go back 15 years, but they want to come back in every once in a while and they want to re-up for a little bit. So I don't limit it. If you're in my group, you're in my group forever. Now, so if I'm doing a healing on them or they're talking to me, I see their auras. All right. When they move their hands, I used to see auras around people's heads. It changed. I get it on the hands first. It goes up the arm and then around the head. The reason for that is because when I started teaching, I was my paint in my living room was off-white. When I moved into my classroom, my husband built me a big classroom. I picked the color Broadway Lights, and it was bright yellow. Now, I had my sister as an upholsterer, so I picked the materials, she made the benches, the cushions, everything matched, the drapes, everything was beautiful. But the color was so that it always looked like sunshine in my classroom. At night or when it was raining, it always looked like sunshine. So when I moved everybody in there, their auras changed because I could see the yellow through the aura. So
relativity.
It was really difficult.
That's an interior design term. Relative.
My guides, yes, the answer to Ashley, yes, absolutely. And I didn't either. I don't make those mistakes. I learned that a long time ago. It happened a few times and I learned my lesson. So now it doesn't happen. But the auras would now begin to come on their hands. Now, picture this. I'm in a rectangular room. That was my classroom. My husband built benches down, across, and up, and I'm at the head in like a reclining chair. But they're all next to me and in front of me. And there's 22 people, 21 people in every room. Sometimes I get overcrowded and they'd have to sit on the floor. But 21 people were always there, including myself. So now picture they're sitting thigh to thigh.
Yeah.
And they're talking with their hands.
Right.
And this person's aura is now going into this person's aura. So it was like a light show. And I was watching their aura, their color go into red, go into orange, go into yellow. And it was the coolest thing. And I just sat there and watched it. But it was amazing that they gave it to me on their hands. So that just made everything so much easier for me.
So if I did this right now,
Yes, you have purple fingertips. Every one of them right now is purple. And from the palm of your hand down. No other color. Well, actually, I'm gonna tell you in your left hand you have turquoise blue in the palm and under the tops of those fingers. But purple was the first thing I saw. Okay. Now you do it.
Oops.
Oh, now come back further. Go back to your face. Come back further. Okay. When you first brought them up, the first thing I saw was purple, and then it went to violet. You have a violet strip going down from all the way down your wrist on your right hand. Left, outside of your left hand. Huh?
Your other left.
Yeah, outside of her left hand on the outside. She's got more purple, but you've got more purple to go. Okay, you're kind of like a violet, which just tells me you need to practice and trust a little bit more.
Yeah.
Okay. She's got the purples there right at the tip, so they're going to get more purple. You both have obviously. Listen, I don't know you guys. I mean, I feel like I know you.
I feel like I've met you.
We'll talk like again, and we'll see what's going on with you guys without the computer. But it would be very interesting. But it is always about feel to me, and I have to have everybody in balance in my classroom. If they're not, I need no ego. She could see that. Okay. Yeah. No ego at all.
I see that now.
They're told that they have to leave their ego at the curb. They are told, don't look to the left and don't look to the right because there is no one like you. No one. No one can read like you. No one can think like you. No one can feel like you. No one can heal like you. You're completely on your own. I don't want to hear, I'm better than this one. This one's better than me. That's not allowed in my space. So everybody gets along. Right. All right. And it's about what I feel. Right. Okay.
They wouldn't be there.
People. Yeah. You people that are listening. Okay. If you have these feelings and these thoughts and you think that this is you and you can say, oh yeah, I understand. I can relate. I can relate. I can relate. If you get this book and you read it, okay, you can relate. All right. There would be a chapter for you in here. There's a chapter for everyone. Chapter 5, very important chapter.
Chapter 5 is huge. Yes. Huge. Especially for the anxiety, guys. Yeah. That'll put it to rest.
Grounding, shielding, that type of stuff. But however, you won't believe what is in this book. Between empaths and mediums and healing and metaphysical, just in general, the chakras, protection, you name it, it's in there. And she lives it and she does it, and you can tell.
Well, and I have to say that I have the Kindle version, and I need to get because I'm reading my Kindle and I'm checking things up with my finger, and I say, no, I need the act. So don't get the Kindle version. Trust me, get the actual book that you can hold in your hands, because you're going to want to. Because a
lot of people have gotten the audio and the book because you really need the book to mark.
Excuse me.
Yeah, my book has a mark in there. But this is a hardcover book, not even a soft cover book. It is a hardcover book. Yes, chapter 5. Chapter 5, LOL. Yes, that's hilarious. No, it's huge. huge thing is chapter 5. It is about grounding, protection.
Well, the audio book is 13 hours and 15 minutes. It's my voice. I did the audio, and I wouldn't let anybody else do it because I had to put the inflections during the meditations. It was important for me to do it that way. So I know how long it took. Definitely know how long it took. And
you have right, and you have YouTube. Really already? 90 seconds. Oh my God. All right. But you have a YouTube channel too that has the meditations on there.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, all the meditations are free on YouTube. They're on iTunes as well. The major meditations, 5 major meditations are on iTunes. They were done professionally in a studio. And the gentleman who channeled the music channeled them from Archangel. So, and the picture on the album cover was taken by my granddaughter on a ferry. And it's the most magnificent turquoise and gold sunset that I've ever seen. So I took it from the picture and I made it my album cover. And there's YouTube videos. There's like 48 YouTube videos that I put up. They're 5 minutes each. They're all on YouTube. They can be gotten through my website, patlongo.net. And I have questions. People ask me questions. So I try to answer as many questions as I can in 5 minutes. So there's anywhere from 5 to 7 questions of people from all over the world. Yes, Mama, what?
We gotta.
I know you got to cut.
All right, we gotta cut. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna end the radio show and that's it. But we're gonna stay here, right? Do you want to stay here for a little bit?
I can stay for a little while longer. Yeah.
All right, hold on. Thank you again for joining us for another episode of The Fox Den. We would love it if you would go over to our YouTube channel, which is The Fox Den, hosted by Gina Bankston. Please like and subscribe our channel and join us in the chat room there while we stream live every Thursday evening from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll see you next week. Good night.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Okay.
Tommy.
Yay.
Well, we're just not live on Blog Talk anymore. We're still on Facebook and we're still on YouTube. So everybody stick around for a little bit longer.
That's right. So, because this is just so fascinating. It's just so full of information. Jojo says she's seen the turquoise on my hand, and a lot of other people said that they were seeing the colors of my hand. I can see the purple.
Yes, yeah, that's right there.
At least already ordering the book.
I get in a lot of trouble that way. There is going to be a paperback coming out, but I think COVID stopped it. I think it was supposed to be out this past June, but everything changed. You know, prints just changed, and I know I ran out a few times on Amazon, but there's many different places that it can be gotten. And I honestly, truly put in so much information because I wanted people. I can't heal the world. Mm-hmm. I don't have the wherewithal, the time, the people. I'm never good. That's not possible. So I really wanted to stop anxiety. And so I put everything I possibly could into it to help people stop, because I know it works. I've got many stories in there from many of my students that all came to me with extreme anxiety. And if I asked them in my class, raise your hand if you have anxiety, the whole class goes up. If they had anxiety, and it's gone. Yep. And you know, when my book came out, we did I had a little party for all my family members, which are large. And the people that were in the book, I asked them all to come. And one of the gentlemen, a young man, came up to me. And I remember him when he was 17, he came into my class, and now he's in his mid-20s. And he walked up to my sister. He wanted to say thank you, but he couldn't not say how it changed his life. How the anxiety had stopped his life. He was a high school student. He had to quit the baseball team. It was horrible for him. And when he walked into my classroom with a family friend who was a nurse, brought him to me, should have brought him separately, privately, but she brought him into me in my whole class. and he had no idea of protection. And that young man sat across from me with his legs crossed, his arms crossed, his head down. He couldn't look up. He was being pummeled by spirit, pummeled. When you put 20 people in a room, you're talking about 200 energies. Okay. And this kid was miserable. And I pulled him down to me at the end and I said, this is what you have to do. Following week, totally different person.
Right.
And he has been ever since. And now he's a medium and a healer. So, you know, his story is in the book. His name is Nick, and he's a great guy. And listen, they all are. I love all my students, and they're so loyal to me. It's crazy how loyal they are. And I have these psychic fairs. I run a big fair. About 400 people come, and I have 30 to 32 readers at every fair. I have 10 healers in one room, the readers are in the ballroom, and the vendors, all spiritual vendors. And every one of them comes to me and say, I love it at your fair. I love the energy here. I love the people that come. It's just all about light. And before my people read, I go in 7 minutes before it starts. All the healers have to come in the room, and they all sit down and they close their eyes, and I meditate them all with my universal white light. And I ask their guides to give them speed, accuracy, messages of healing. And then I have them actually put cubicles around of light so that they don't drift into the other people's readings, because there are 60 people in the room at one time. So it's
everybody in your bubbles.
I love doing it. And my students always come back. They get paid. I do not pay my students. They get paid decent sum of money, but I don't expect them to do it for nothing. And some of them, a good portion of them, are professionals, but they come back every time.
Well,
and where is the fair?
The fairs, I hold them at the 4 Point Sheridan in Plainview on Long Island. They're on the service road to the expressway, and I've had readers come from Nebraska, from Michigan, from Vermont, from Maryland, because everybody wants to be a part of it. I want to go. I want to be a part of it, but I'm like a crazy woman. When you see me there, I'm this little person running around like my head is cut off, because everybody wants me. Everybody wants a piece, and I'm moving here. And all the working parts have to work. I have volunteers that volunteer every time, same people. They're always back. This is going on for years now. And I give them, I give them all a free reading for their time. And, but they have to wait till the end of the day because the readings go so fast. And I think we can get 400 reads in with the amount of people that we have. And it's a great day. And people wait online for hours. They actually come hours before it starts. And I'm like, okay, you can't come in. You got to wait out there. You might as well sit on the floor. But it's well known. And I'll tell you one more thing, just for anybody that is ever going to show up at the show. I test all my readers, and they cannot read. They cannot read unless they get 5 95s out of 8. So what happens is I pick a night, a Monday night usually. I have all the people that want to try out. Some are students. Some are people from other states. Some people have made a book or been on television, whatever. I said, it doesn't matter. If I didn't teach you, you need to test. And even those that I do teach have to test because it's my name.
Right.
Yeah. Yes. They come in and I get strangers to sit. I ask my siblings, get your neighbors, get their cousins, get their coworkers. I want new people. I want fresh blood. And then I'll put in just a couple of mediums that I want to put in just to give me a different angle.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're too hard though. Sometimes the mediums are they're too hard. I want people that
be judgy.
Yes, they can't be judgy. And because I hold them up to a certain expectation. So I guess if they didn't give me that. So I had my niece came. My niece was one of the sitters. And she got 8 reads. Everybody goes around the room. Every 15 minutes, they have to switch because that's what happens in the fair. So you have to know how to do energy and switch energy and switch energy and switch energy very quickly. Right. So I she comes out. I said, everybody, this is what you do. You put a check if you understood. You have to write everything down. They all get pads and pens. Everything is done so that I can see it. So I said, you check. You put an X if you don't understand it at all and a question mark if you're not sure. So she comes out and she gives this woman a 75. Now, everybody else that I had seen had given her a 95 or 100. I said, okay. She happens to be a medium too. But anyway, so she's sitting there and I said, read it to me. Read to me what you got. And she started to read to me. And it turns out that the rest of the information all belonged to her father. Now, he's my brother. It's actually his house I'm in. And I knew it. I knew the information. So I said, you go home, you speak to your parents, validate what's right, and then call me back if you want to change the grade. And she gave her a 95. So, of course, I knew the woman was going through anyway, but I needed. So now what I do if people give somebody all zeros, I know they're a really tough read. And understand that I like tough reads because I want my students to hear the word no. I want them to hear no. I want them to have the confidence to say, you may not understand it now. It may belong to somebody else. Just put it aside. Don't focus on it. I don't want my readers to get shook up and have their self-esteem all screwed up. I want them to learn the word no. It's very important. So I like when tough reads come in.
Yeah.
It's good for them.
It is good for them, definitely. And I love that you do that because, I mean, today, especially today, and everybody wants that little 15 minutes of fame and everyone thinks they're going to be a television star and everything else. And, it drives us crazy. We're going to talk about the ego thing. And I love that. Mama D and I were just on a show getting interviewed yesterday and I brought it up and it's something that I got from you. With the ego, and that's edging.
I don't put up with it. Edging God out. Edging God out. Exactly.
But all these people that they want this 15 minutes of fame, but they're fake psychics.
Yeah. Well, you know what? There's a lot of them on the island, and some of them are famous. Okay, and they're not so good. Yeah. But
I could name a few. I could probably
don't. Tell me privately. Don't. I get in a lot of trouble because if somebody asks me, I tell them, and that never goes well for me. I've had one call me up and say, "Why don't you like me?" I'm like, I can't help it. But
you don't have to like everyone.
You know what you know, though.
Somebody comes in and they want to be the next Teresa, and they do. They do. Okay. And I tell them all, it's not going to happen.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the reason she was picked to help everybody open up because she has maintained 9 years on television. There's not one other medium that has done that. Not one.
That's true.
And she's there for a reason. And it's not because she's better than anybody, because I teach them like that all over the island. They're all over the place. They're as good, maybe some better. They're really, but they're their own. They do things differently. They're excellent, but she sustained being out in public like this all over the United States. And some of us just tell people, yes, not trying to be famous. And that's exactly right.
To be famous that aren't helping people. They're actually harming people.
Yes, they are. They're harming people. And sometimes it's all about the almighty dollar. And I don't have any patience for that either. And I am not the psychic police. And I tell my class that. I said, once I do what I do here and you cut yourself loose and you go off and do what you do, I can't control it. I try to teach integrity to everybody. I try to teach everybody to stay within a certain dollar mark so that everyone can reach them. I teach them how to give back when someone is struggling. I said, listen, if somebody gets the money together to come to me and I'm sitting with them and I know that they can't afford it, it's on me. And that's just the way it works. And they're supposed to do the same thing. I put them in fundraisers. People call me for all kinds of things. So I said, okay, you, and you go give back over here. You go give back over here. And they do it. You know, that's terrible.
And that's what happens. Yeah. Or they'll say, you know, oh, well, I'm from a long gypsy line and your family has a curse and you have to give
Oh,
$5,000 to remove this curse.
did
And
I
it's like,
write about that in the book? I think
please.
I did. I hope I did.
I
Be-
think you did. But I'm just like that I hear that still going on. I'm just like, you
Mhm.
know, you gotta have your common sense too. And, you know, like you say, everyone has
a gift.
a gift.
Everyone does.
Trust your gut.
That's right. Trust
When
your
you
gut.
go to a psychic fair, walk around, see who you're drawn
Who
to.
resonates to
That's
you?
the one that you sit down and talk to.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, it's trust your gut. And if you feel like, you know, this person is asking for money for nothing, you know, like, all right, what just happened to me? I ordered a table. As soon as I did it and it went through, I was like, shit, this is a scam. And I knew it. And I knew it. And I had to fight tooth and nail. And I got so upset for like, what, 2 weeks before I
Yep.
finally got my money back? Oh my God. So much swearing. Oh, Lord in heaven.
Now, see, if you paid attention to my book, Gina, you would be sending pink light and love to that person.
Oh,
Instead
yeah.
of
She
trying
did
to
once she
chop
got her
your
money
head
back.
off.
I got my money back. I got my money back. And actually, it was after I watched something that made me calm down and get a little bit more in touch with my throat chakra and to, you know, bring things down a level. Right after I did that is when I got my money back.
Yes.
Uh-huh,
Listen,
uh-huh.
if you have an argument with somebody, everybody, no matter who it is, we've had an argument at some point in time. When you're arguing and somebody's raising their voice and you're raising your voice louder and now your blood pressure's going up and your face is getting red and you're not hearing anymore because you're not paying any attention, you just want the last word, it doesn't pay. If
Right.
you
Yeah.
sit down quietly and just let that person go, say, are you finished now? Okay. It doesn't pay to do that. You get much more. What do they say? You catch more flies with honey than vinegar,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's the truth. All the truisms out in the world. Okay, what goes around comes around. What you sow is what you reap. What you believe you can achieve. Laughter is the best medicine. Fear is your worst enemy. I could go on and on and on
Yeah,
because they're all true.
they
They're
are.
all
It is.
true.
And the thing is with Gina, she needs to get it out. Morning, Bob. I would wake up in the morning and I'd have a voicemail 2 days in a row. There was so
50,000
much,
squares.
but the thing
You
is,
need to
I
go
would
out.
message her.
She needs to go out in the backyard and scream. Just let a
Right.
big howl out.
She
Just
did
let
it on
just-
the thing, and then I called. Then I messaged her back. I said, "Can you breathe now? Are you okay now?"
Yeah.
Because yeah.
Okay.
And then I kept tripping over something, and I made her laugh, and then she was
She
fine.
made me laugh all the time. Oh my God. It was so funny.
Laughter is
But
the
I
best medicine. It
yeah,
does work.
It definitely does. But I did need to get it out. I'm a venter, you know. I mean, I can't
You
hold
have
my
to.
face. I can't hold my face and I can't pull my punches, you know. So and those
That's
are
not
the three things. Those are the three things in the world, you know, like don't mess with my house, don't mess with my money, and don't mess with my man. Right? You mess with any one of those things,
You're in
you
trouble.
will be held to pay. So that's it.
I tell my
See,
students you
mine.
wouldn't like me when I'm angry because I've
Oh
become
yeah,
the Incredible Hulk.
there you go.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
I know.
see.
4'11", right? She's gonna be a spitfire. Everyone would be afraid of her.
Oh yeah,
Okay, did we show each other our muscles? Remember we were talking the other day? Did we do that? Okay, wait. I gotta get in another screen.
wait a minute.
Okay.
Let's put it up
We
there.
got muscles.
Nice. There you go.
Muscles always.
Muscle.
And they get bigger the more grandchildren you carry.
I only
have
have one.
Yeah,
Yeah. Listen, one is wonderful.
Yes,
17
and
is
it was her
17
birthday.
times more. That's all.
It was her birthday the other day, and we have not, because of lovely that's going on, we have not yet had a chance to hold on to this little munchkin pie. But we FaceTime, and she now takes her father's phone when he's FaceTiming with somebody and runs with the phone. And sometimes she's added people to the conversation. So she runs and you can see she's laughing and she's getting
So happy. I went to the kids' houses during COVID, but I just talked to them through the windows. And I missed 3 teeth coming in, which was terrible because I haven't missed a tooth in a child, in 22 years. So that hurt. I missed him for all.
Are all of your grandchildren on Long Island?
Yes, they're all within 15 minutes of me.
How nice.
Yeah,
When
yeah.
I grew up in Mass, so my daughter's up in Mass, and then my daughter moved from Mass to West Virginia. So now, well, because of Bob too, though, I came down here to Pennsylvania, but I'm, again, kind of in the middle of the two a little bit. It's like 5, 6 hours to Mass, but it's like 11 hours to
I
West
couldn't
Virginia.
stand it. I have them in college, like because 6 of them, and one of them's leaving in a couple of days for South Carolina. And that one I can't get to. When the one was in Rhode Island, I could take a ferry and watch softball games and, see her once in a while. And you are a super calming present.
She really is. Honest to God. Honest to God. Even when we first got together and we were, doing all this, getting this set up going and getting it working, and getting the production going right and everything, I'd be going, son of a, why can't I do this? And Mom was like, be okay. Just try this.
You and I have more in common, but Mom is more like me. And that's how I am.
I
the
know.
baby
You're a culmination of the
I'm
two
the
of
pet
us.
whisperer. I'm the keep everybody calm, and people want to stay in my house. They'll pay me, say, well, would you stay in the hospital? No, I can't. I'm sorry. I have a home. I have a bed, and I like my bed. But that's kind of the way it is. People like you around because you bring the energy down, and it's
Except for Bob. I think Bob would be like he's running away from home if I came too close for too long. I was like, oh God, no.
All right. I'm going to have to say goodbye because I'm not in my own house, and I have to let my brother and his wife go to bed.
There you go.
I have to go.
Thank you for staying another 20 minutes with us. We appreciate it so much. Again, people, let me put up the picture of the book here before you go. Where are we? Way up here. There's so many things up here that I popped up. All right. So The Gifts Beneath Your Anxiety. Okay. That is the book you need to get. If you think you have all these gifts, you think you have these things going on, you think you're an empath, you don't know, just look at the lists that are in there. It's amazing. It's beyond amazing. But I do feel like I've met you before. I really do. I just don't know.
Another lifetime.
Maybe.
It's another lifetime. That's what happens. I really do find that most of the people, even the people that come to my classes and stuff, they're all in my soul group. And my job is to ascend them. And I am to, open them up and get them to be light workers. And the last thing I would like to put out to anybody that's still listening, I've been training my students right now to really send light from their hearts. Pull it in, send light from their hearts, and good night to you ladies too, and send it out to the entire universe, like completely wrap the globe and put it out into the universe, into the galaxies, but send light with the intention that the light will expose the darkness and put it out, okay? Because light puts out dark. And we do have a lot of darkness going on the planet right now with ill-intentioned people. So if you put the thought out that for anyone that would intend harm on any innocent person on this planet, that again, they be exposed to the light and pretty much taken care of. So we've been working on it. It's really important because my sources say we're 70% light right now and 30% dark. So we've got a little work to do. And we have come a long way. Yeah. Light always wins. It's the truth. But unfortunately, we all came here with spiritual challenges to learn. So we're going to stumble and fall, and we're going to have some tough times. And, and again, if you stick to it, light always wins. You are right. Okay. All right, ladies. Thank you for having me. It was lots of fun. It really was. I had a great time.
All right. And buonanotte to everybody, and we'll see you all
Anyway,
next week.
next
We're going to have Dr. Alan Leica and Harriet Tinka on, and it's going to be a pretty cool show, too.
Okay. I'll have to start tuning in.
Awesome. Night-night.
Me off